I found out that my deconstruction training has paid off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, I was super stoked. My job, you gotta get a yearly physical, and they do it on site. They have their own medical facilities. Physical, right? And my doctor is doing his usual thing of telling me how goddamn fat I am. He's like, "You have tits." I was like, "I know, man." So you're not supposed to have tits. You're male. I was like, "I know."
Who's to say?
Yeah, who's to say? Well, no, it gets even better than this. This is some recent training that I've had because he told me, yeah, you should probably lose some weight, and I was like, why? And he said, I mean, because obesity puts you at risk for heart disease, and like seriously, a year ago, Jared would have not known how to defend against this type of tyranny. Right, like I would have just been deer in the headlights, like oh no, and I would have buckled. I'd have been like, "I'm sorry, sir, I will lose weight." But now I've actually learned how to respond to that. And I just said, well, doctor, having a heart puts you at risk for heart disease. And the whole fucking, like, somehow the whole office heard it and they all fucking clapped.
They all clapped? Did your kids clap? Your
every
kids
single
clapped?
one of them. Later, when I told them about it, yeah. But, like, seriously, the nurses in there, mostly the women clapped. The men are oppressive assholes. Not like me. I'm obviously I'm one of the good ones, but I know that men suck. Anyway, it was great. I have to thank Certified Sexy Vocal Fry for teaching me how to combat fat phobia.
Certified Sexy Vocal Fry. We got a bunch of edible takers in the chat. We got Troy. Well, Troy first got high on a bunch of Tylenol, which is what we recommend around here. Especially if you're a pregnant man. Those are the main people who should take Tylenol. And Charles is Thursday night is take more edibles than I probably should and put on porch time. Let's go. And then Troy says vape pen for me. It's like we're twins, but different. And then Risto says he takes it sober. No way, you drink. Well, I don't think Risto considers alcohol altered state at all at this point.
I mean, it is. It's like
not for Risto.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. You know something funny? You know the difference between there was that JJ McCullough video where he talks about the pre-modern, the modern, and the postmodern. So Morgan got me this earlier, right? So there's this. This would be the pre-modern lighter.
Let me make it bigger on the screen.
Oh, okay. Look at the pre-modern lighter, which is maybe it wouldn't be considered pre-modern. I got a Zippo, but I can't find it. So pretend this is a Zippo. And then you put this behind this and you can't see it, so abortion's okay. Just kidding. That's a tangent. And she got me this thing, which you can see it. But...
oh yeah, lighter thing.
Yeah, I can tase my candles now, but it like takes all the heart out of it, and it makes me wonder what a postmodern lighter would look like. I don't have one. Like I don't have an example.
Well, the postmodern lighter has to be you start adding adornment to it that never had any meaning and just gets weird and starts to affect the usefulness of the modernist thing of it. And so neither useful nor well adorned, but weird.
Also, this thing kind of sucks. She got two of them because they were cheaper than normal lighters, I guess. And
are you lighting your microphone?
Oh, it looks like it, but I got my camera. Some forced perspective there for you.
Nice. All right, well, that's a good lesson in the pre-modern, modern, and the postmodern.
Risa told me what I do in my bedroom should be kept private. She tases my ass with this, okay? That's what I do. She ball gags me, hog ties me, and then tases my ass while I have a dick cage on, and a real man satisfies her while I lay in the corner.
Who's to say? Who's to say what a real man is or isn't, and why that isn't? Why you're not disabled? I mean, you're fully able. That's not disability. I mean, or you're not a dungeon gimp. I don't know if it's disability or dungeon gimp at this point, but we have theory for either one of them that makes it. Who's to say?
I'm boasting now. Yeah, Troy, you and your vanilla sex life where you just have sex with the same woman and lovingly, and she doesn't humiliate you, and you don't get off on your own tears. Yeah. You're vanilla. Here at
Yeah.
Porch Time, we don't yuck anybody's yum, all right?
No, there is a problem. Okay, with the status quo, and the status quo is patriarchy, and patriarchy comes from capitalism, and capitalism comes from patriarchy. Okay,
A lot of isms.
yeah, and if any of those things, I mean, who's to say the normal things are normal? No, you're not allowed to say the normal things are normal. That one is not allowed. So
Fuck
I
normal.
says I. I don't know where Flip is. I don't know if Flip's coming or not. Maybe he's falling asleep from all his truck driving. He's going to England pretty soon to try to convert to Islam. He's been studying his Arabic, and he's pretty ready to go to England to learn some Islamic ways, get some Islamic food, eat halal for a week. That's the Mecca of the world right now.
Dude, I almost
not
only.
Mecca.
Is Taco Bell haram?
It depends on if they just let the cow bleed out slowly or not.
I think they should. I think it should be haram just to eat shitty. They should never let me be in charge of a religion because all of the rules that I would make in a religion would just be things that I do a shitty job of, you know? Like, you're actually just not allowed to drink any soda at all anymore. Like, why? Because God fucking said so, okay? I'm the prophet, so piss off. You're also, like, you have to spend, like, 3 hours a day outside. You have to touch grass. I'm like, why? Because fuck you. Like, I'm really bad at it. So I need a religion to tell me to do good things.
You just show them this picture and say, that's what'll come of it for you. You'll get this power. Right? Yeah.
Me is nearly as cool as real me. Like it almost captures my badass.
There's Flip cubing some cubes. What do you think the AI entry was for that? Cube some cubes, do some Star Trek-y cubes.
It was a Jonathan picture, so I'm sure it was a very in-depth and long.
It probably had
something out. Like, yeah.
Cube up the Borg's ship. That like looks like the Borg ship down inside of there, right?
He's dismantling the Tesseract.
Oh yeah. There's me versus the Hydra, but there's only one hit on the Hydra. See, my problem is I'm Don Quixote, and I go and fight real snakes, but then I imagine there's 7 more heads on them that aren't there, and it's just a one-headed snake, and I'm fighting all the other heads. That's how I Don Quixote it out.
You Don Quixote if he was just a little bit less retarded.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nifty. It's
a windmill, but it's a monster windmill. Let's see. There's you fighting like a He-Man character. That was plastic. That one really reminded me of He-Man when I saw it.
So did it? Yeah. I didn't watch any He-Man. That looks like I have a medieval phone.
He-Man was a show. I might have said it before here. I should stop saying that. You know, I always notice, I might have said this before too. The Adam Carolla, he's got so long talking on stuff. He never stops and apologizes that he's telling a story over again. And I'm like, that's probably more professional. You just like sit there and you just say the dang thing again rather than but He-Man, when I saw Power Rangers and all that stuff when I was like a teenager, I was like, this stuff is so gay. I cannot believe how gay the kids shows are nowadays. And back then you couldn't see He-Man because we didn't have Netflix or anything to see He-Man. And then years later, when I finally saw He-Man again, I was like, my thing was gayer. Like, oh my gosh, it's so gay. Like,
dude, there's no way He-Man's gayer than Power Rangers.
Dude, I had no idea how gay He-Man was until I saw it in my 20s. I did not realize it was that gay when I was a kid.
See, I've watched very little of it, but it's funny you bring up Power Rangers because I was just telling Morgan, I don't know what the fuck's up with the algorithm on YouTube, but it seems to think I'm a huge Power Rangers fan. I am like the right age for that, but it, I don't know. I watched the movie and I liked it. I thought the Power Rangers were cool as shit when I was like 5, you know? But we didn't have cable. So I probably watched like 3 episodes of Power Rangers in my entire life. And then the first movie, and that's about it. But it's opened me up to a world of devout adult Power Ranger fans, and I can't understand that.
It's the same as the furries nowadays. You remember like the precursor to all the furry convention stuff were the bronies, the dudes who all kind of started getting into My Little Pony and showing up to the My Little Pony conventions, and it was all kind of our age group that were maybe the first to get this nostalgic about their youth and carry it on into adulthood. All us Disney kids, and it probably starts with Gen X. As much crap as we give all the boomers, besides liking Disneyland until they're 70, not as much as Disney kids. Boomers didn't really hold on to their stuff. Like, you didn't see them. I didn't see anybody running around filling their house up with Captain Kangaroo, or I don't know what they watched.
The rough part about that is, like, Disney's almost marketing toward Disney adults now, and you can't even really be mad at them for that because the market's there. So if I was like the Disney guy, I'm so sorry, we have to market toward these fucking freaks that just get season passes and go there. And it's like, I don't know, riding rides is fun and stuff like that, but my friend recently took his kid to Disney World, and he's talking about how annoying the Disney adults are because, like, he's got little kids like from 3 to 9, I think, and like they want to go meet their characters and take pictures with them, and they got to wait in line behind a bunch of fucking people my age. Like some fat retards in their 30s are like, I need a picture with Goofy. What are you talking about? This is so gay. Like, I feel like if there was a gay man here, he'd turn to him like, this is super gay. Why are you waiting? You're waiting in line for fucking Goofy? Jeez, fag.
Ryan says, shut the hell up. He-Man is awesome. You want to know what? This is a space, Ryan, where we come to talk about our stories growing up. And He-Man gave me body dysmorphia. I saw He-Man and it made me look at that and say, I can't live up to this perfection. And so I need to go on He-Man Stories podcast and cry to them that I could not live up to this patriarchal. And also they had magic, and nobody ever told us that magic wasn't real. And I need to cry.
I always get He-Man and Thundercats mixed up. He-Man was the one that starred Greta Thunberg, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's Skeletor's voice, man. Skeletor's voice is like,
hey, Skeletor! It is very unintimidating. Like,
I did not. It blows my mind that did not do anything to make me question anything when I was a little kid. Like, I just saw He-Man's voice and was like, yeah, that's fine, that's normal. And then all those years later, I was like, what? Like, how was I not sitting there as a kid rolling on the floor and writhing around?
Like, imagine watching Empire Strikes Back for the first time, and you're finally going to meet Emperor Palpatine. It's like, you've already got Darth Vader, who's a badass, and he's freaky, terrifying force of evil. And this guy's stronger than him. He gives orders to Darth fucking Vader, and Darth Vader goes and kneels in front. What shall I do, master? Young apprentice. You need to take out the Jedi. Or he just sounds like Mickey. Like, that Luke Skywalker fellow. He needs to go. What the fuck is this? I'd laugh at him. If I were fighting a bad guy, I always said this. If I came up to a gang, because I watched a movie about like a gang in the UK or something, and they just, some of them had the dumbest accent. And if you have too thick of an accent, like if I go to Australia and some guys try to hold me up, "Oi, give us your wallet, sir." Like, they have that too. That wasn't a good Australian accent, but they do that. They do that fucking R thing, you know, like internet anarchist. Like, every single O is a R. Thank you for watching this video and stuff. I just start laughing. I couldn't.
The R between the two vowel words.
Yeah, I couldn't. I would laugh, and I would know that, like, I know this guy's a bad guy, and he's probably gonna kill me for laughing at him, but I couldn't help it.
Anyway, everybody there's talking. Pink Ranger taught me I was straight. Good on the Pink Ranger.
Oh, fuck yeah, she was.
I liked it. Wasn't the Yellow Ranger the Asian one?
She was Latina in the very first episode, and then there was some weird conflict of parts, and then they had to cast the yellow one.
Did we already pull up? I mean, we already pulled up the LDS furry convention last week, right? Or did we not? I don't think we did.
Maybe. Sure.
It was covered by the Mormon newscast guys, the old Biblioteca, Mike Biblioteca, LDS furries. So Starbase said he had a brony, jabroni, a brony.
This was a conference that happened this weekend. 100 people attended a Latter-day Saint furry event in Utah over the weekend. Activities at the meet and greet included chatting, doodling, getting and exchanging stickers, and singing a hymn. Only about 20 people were expected, but there were over 100 people that showed up. And this is their logo. Look at this. I mean, it really kind of looks like the LDS logo, doesn't it? It has.
All I know is that. Oh, wait on a second. Because it's Jesus.
They should have given Jesus a snout
on a paw print.
Do you remember that picture of Jesus? I think she even mentioned it, but there was that internet famous picture of Jesus being in the dog's butthole for a while there. That probably could have worked for their convention.
Group of Latter-day Saint furries. So
have you seen that picture?
Maybe. That's not ringing any bells.
I thought we might just play a minute of this little short that they released to kind of show what they were doing.
I've seen Jesus on a dog's backside before.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I sent you that picture. So, but I thought this was fascinating.
You signed it.
And they're singing an LDS hymn. This is an LDS group, right?
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
All creatures of our God,
Of course.
lift up your voice and with us sing.
Oh my God.
That's probably all we have to show. But they look like they're having an incredible time, and they're gathered with people.
I don't see any tails wagging.
What are the chances Tyler Robinson was on the rosters?
Anyway,
Though?
I'm just saying they identify as Latter-day Saints, and they're living their best life, and they're doing what they like to do. So I think it's kind of interesting.
Best life.
To add that get together.
Well, I can tell anybody who's a furry. That's not your best life, but
that's the exact thing I was gonna say.
Perfect song to sing. All creatures of our
That's why they chose it. Exactly, all creatures. That's exactly right.
It was a tour de force.
Yeah. Yep.
It's your best
So,
life.
I don't know. But I just thought that was fascinating. It was funny because I was like, I always end the newscast with something kind of different. I haven't done anything this month, this week, and then all of a sudden this pops on my feed. I'm like, this is probably one of the more different things that I've ever come across. So,
whenever I'm at a furry conference, the one thing I always try and make sure I do is keep the lid on my large vanilla milkshake.
I don't follow that one.
I don't know. Maybe he's saying a dog's gonna come in it or something. That's the best I got. Oh,
yeah, never seen these Jesus bums.
No.
Yeah. I've seen those all over the internet, but anyway. Flip, have you seen your He-Man pictures and stuff? Look at that. I'm fighting a galaxy brain right there. That's me versus I think that's what he probably had to type in right there.
Probably what it was, yeah.
Galactica brain, galaxy brain.
Pretty
That's the smoldering sexy Jared right there. Who are we to judge? That is always the question around here. Like, who's to say? Who is to say? This is who is to say the podcast. Flip guy.
I'm actually very comfortable with judging. That's why I said I should never run a religion, because like Mormons don't gatekeep enough. But I would gatekeep like way too much. Like if I found out, I'd be like the Fred Armisen straight to jail character. Like, you go to furry convention, excommunication, straight to excommunication. You eat Taco Bell once, excommunication.
Magic Doug Hennig style, yeah. There's a sexy flip on the beach. There's Jared with my bulked up body. That one could have been more shredded or.
That's what I would look like if I didn't lift for a couple days or a couple months, I think.
Yeah. That's off season Jared.
Yeah.
That's bulk cycle Jared. So I don't, on this podcast, one of our big themes, and especially last week and lately in these solemn times, is talking about coercive control. And just earlier today, I kind of felt I witnessed Jonathan try to coerce Flip into growing a beard.
He did.
he gave the long details about how facial hair challenge people could get it done, and I don't think Flip's allowed to say no now.
Yeah, you would look pretty badass with a beard.
Because the thing that he described requires more facial hair than I can do. Like, I don't think he understands how little facial hair I can grow. And the other thing is that, in fact, you know what? I'll be right back.
I believe your exact quote was, "There are 12-year-old Mexican girls who can grow more beard than
that's not there. That they can beat me too, man. That's my trick on my mission to stay pure of thought was anytime I came across any Mexican gals, I just like imagine them with a mustache and I could see their dad. Hey, bato, what's up? You know, and it worked really well. But sometimes I did not have to imagine at all. But
never mind, I can't find it. I was going to show a picture of my dad because my dad had famous beard.
He did.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was.
Showing him on here.
Yeah, well,
that's right. He was Joseph Fielding Smith.
Yeah, might as well pull that back up again. I'm going by the Adam Carolla thing because nobody's going to go in our past history and dig stuff up from. I typed in Google Flip's dad. Let's see what comes up. Flip's dad. Best flipping dad ever. Kid flips off dad.
Oh, that's him right there, isn't it? That first picture.
Is this? Yeah, this. So you didn't know? I mean, we talked about Flip being multiculti all this time, and there's his dad right there. Let's see here. Who was it? Who was he again?
He's one of the Joseph F. Smiths. I don't know if he was Fielding or
F. Smith movie. Any other ways?
It wouldn't have been Fielding.
No, it found it. It found him. Here he is. There's Flip's dad.
I saw the host of the death. Yeah,
that is Flip's dad right there.
He also had a bit role in some independent comedy movie made by some girls from Studio C.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I only found it recently. It's like he's in it for like 90 seconds or something.
So with all of that, you cannot grow a beard just because of a little bit of Brazilian in you.
I guess so. I mean, because my brother has that big beard. My kid can grow a beard. I don't know. It skipped over me. Like, my mom's dad was Portuguese, and he like grew a French waiter. Yeah, I don't think he ever had like a beard, but
it's like how my I never broke 6 feet. It's because my dad married into a midget family.
Ryan
when I was a little kid, he'd always be like, because he's 6'1", he'd always be like, little Jared, one day you're gonna have to look down when you see me, and you're gonna be like, hey, little daddy. And man, I look forward to that. And I'm the tallest of my siblings, and I'm just under 5'11", just almost there. I gotta claim 5'10", because when people say I'm 5'11 and 3/4, that's cringe. Don't do that. Just own the 5'10", round down, and don't be a bitch.
I don't know, like, I get a little bit annoyed when people ask me how tall I am because, like, first off, I'm not, like, on the bell curve. I'm, like, right at this part of the bell curve where I'm, like, I'm taller than normal, but I'm not into the freak tall world. But when people ask me how tall are you, I just say 191 centimeters.
How much do you weigh? 30 stone.
you go with, like, the British stuff. Well, I guess they all just use metric stuff, huh? Oh,
dude,
man.
that's like,
how come the British are always making fun of us? They're always making fun of us for not using the metric system. And then anytime you watch some like fat British show, they're like, he gained 20 stone in almost 2 years. Like, what the fuck is it, stone? Are you serious right now? You're gonna shit on me for using pounds? You just said stone? What is that?
Like, they use the metric system maybe slightly more than us, but not really. It's also kind of a wash. There's a lot of things. In fact, I can't remember. I saw on the internet once a list of all of the different pints used in England, like a pint of milk, a pint of beer, a pint of oil, like, are all technically different measurements.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Did we bring this up before? Did you guys ever watch this show?
Is that the really mean fat guy?
It's
the guy that's really mean to fat people?
It's a gal who's really mean to them. It's this British show about
Fiona Derry,
Biggest Loser, but she talks to him. She's incredibly mean. It was like in the 2000s, but like one of the best parts of the show is she would make them like count up all the stuff they eat, and then she'd put it in front of all of them. Like,
oh yeah,
here, this is what you eat in 1 week, and they had to like look at it.
This is enough to make anybody's stomach churn, let alone someone who's got a dairy allergy.
It's absolutely disgusting, Fiona. I am sickened by this. So you've gone through quite a lot of chocolate for someone who's allergic.
I know.
Look at this. It's all over the place, isn't it? So what happens when you actually eat the chocolate? What's the reaction that happens?
Not instantly, about an hour later. So I get an itchy throat and my ears are itchy. And so I stop clucking.
You're fucking allergic to it?
And you power through that?
Sometimes when it's really bad, I've been doing it it's quite a lot. I can taste blood in the back of it. Yeah, I can taste blood.
I'll just stab myself with a fucking EpiPen, I do, innit?
Whatever.
And how long does the itching and the irritation and the clucking?
That's her husband. This is okay. This couple, if she didn't fix them, they are for sure Antifa now, because that's what they all look like. It's like some little noodly dude. And
if she did fix the lady, that guy divorced her. Yeah, he's a chaser right there. If I ever saw one.
Oh yeah, he wants the big stuff. Oh look, I'm just going right down the thing. We got a Flips Booze Corner. Is there a Booze Corner?
No, I'm in an attempt to lose weight. I cut out drinking except for on the Sabbath.
You've become basically Mormon. I mean, well, maybe it was after Jonathan's pitch last week too. You got to grow a beard and be Mormon.
Yeah, but I don't smoke weed. I smoked weed one time in the last year. Who
are you?
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
Yeah.
I have different motivations all of a sudden. In fact, that's the other thing is because like I'm gonna bail again on this show pretty early because I've been working ridiculous amounts of overtime lately. Because
no excuse.
I booked a trip to the UK in December and I got to pay it off and have money to go.
But if you put extra time into this, it's only a matter of time before we can claim we have fake information about a shooting and put it behind a paywall and get at least 500 people.
Oh yeah, we need to start hawking our Patreon.
Yeah. And if we do like special investigations on things, and then for like one day we say we have something the FBI does, and then put it behind a paywall for a night, like that can get a lot of people.
The Blue Anon thing, like they are just going gangbusters this last week. Like just in the NPR article, the first one talks about, like I saw one earlier today where it's like, details released about the motivations of ICE shooter, and all of their first comments are like, "No way, this is BS." Like they're just like, I don't know why.
Well, okay, so in their defense on the ICE shooter, like we have info on him now, and he was clearly like a fuckwit, commie, dumbass. But like, when I first saw that on the bullet, I was like, anti-ICE? That's a little fucking on the nose. Was this guy retarded?
He hates rap. It was a conservative.
Oh,
he's talking about Ice-T.
The problem is, like, we all have 10 years of evidence of how the left memes, and now we're shocked that that's how they meme on bullets too.
Like, yeah, well, no, I'm still shocked because that's so on the nose retarded. Like, if you're gonna do something like that, I don't know. I mean, well, don't do it, but like, be fucking poetic about it or original.
Jared, here's my 500,000 word think piece on Trump is a Nazi. Like, these are the people. Yeah, I mean, they're super deep thinkers, deep cutters, man.
It's like me like shooting up something, and then on the bullet it says, "I'm not a fan of Imagine Dragons." Like, you could, I don't know, you could do it that poetically. Like,
well, I liked with the Charlie Kirk shooter, because they're all like, because first they're like, he's a gun nut, he's a MAGA gun nut from a MAGA gun nut family, and then all the people are like, well, how did he make that shot?
I know.
Well,
that was one of the funniest ones. Watching a bunch of ex-Mormons be like, huh, his family was super conservative and Mormon. Checkmate. I was like, okay, tell me what your parents' politics are, ex-Mormon. You of all people sitting there being like, he had Mormon parents.
What was your
that
belief?
Means he's Mormon.
What was your belief 2 years ago, ex-Mormon? Because so many of them. What was your belief pre-COVID, ex-Mormon? Because 90% of you, it seems to me, didn't lose it till COVID. But well, there goes a bowl. Huck just ate a bowl. Okay. Anyway,
a bowl?
Yeah,
like a bowl.
A plastic bowl. It's gone. It's gone. Pour one out for my bowl. Anyway,
I like how zen you are. Yeah, there it goes. That's done.
It's like that thing I talked about in the HR thing, Better Off Ted. The lady's sitting there in the HR office and some guy falls off the back window and she just goes,
yeah.
"That's going to be some paperwork."
I saw that face. Like, you didn't say it out loud. I remember it was my first day at the Salt Palace, and there's like a lull, like in between. It was like before the event started, and we were standing in the big hall talking, and then a coworker walked up and said, "So and so just tried to stab me in the eye with a fork," and you didn't even say a word. I just saw you just turn and walk to the office. And I could just see like you in your head, dude. Like, okay, well, that's going to be this form and this form. like no reaction at all. Of like, did you call the police? Where is he now? Is he still holding the fork? Like, nope.
I'm busy filling out HB 645-13s and
it's a trick about me, and it
standard fork form.
You want to know where I learned it? Was on my mission, because everybody on my mission said that I was a different person in Spanish than I was back at home goofing off with the missionaries. And everybody out in the Spanish speaking world thought I was like the most serious lawyer, doctor, whoever, whatever person. That's where it all started. And I've been a missionary ever since, which is basically what HR is. Oh, I've got this big long article on how crap HR is, and I loved it. Anyway, the stuff like that happens. I'd say some of the times when it's the worst is like somebody tells a joke and I'm standing around people that I can't laugh at the joke with because I'm supposed to be the one that they can report to if that person's. So I just have to go, that's a good joke. Anyway.
I don't know what the professional world is like in other places, because you would not believe, like, I always talk about the token liberal guy, but like seriously, that's what it is. It's all a bunch of like roughneck conservative dudes that I work with, and like they would like, one of the supervisors has a hoodie that he wears to work that says "Let's go, Brandon," and like we've got like 3 liberal people that work with us. And these people are way more conservative than I am. And like one of the bigger bosses comes in today and he's talking to us, and I'm giving him crap about one of his shit workers who never comes to work. And I thought he was going to say something related to it. And he like looks around. He's like, just making sure there's not mixed company here. Totally unrelated. He's just like, a black man, a Christmas tree, Christmas lights, and a painting. Which one of these doesn't fit in? And we're like, I don't know which one. And he's like, the Christmas tree, you don't hang those. It's like, holy shit. You're a boss? Like you're a boss.
Jeez.
Troy says anybody who loves their HR job is dangerous. That is true. Anybody who really loves it could be Stalin. But part of one of the things that article talked about is HR is overly a den mother profession, but union leader, which basically was HR for years, was overly a male profession. And it generally talks about how, what was the difference of that? Well, the union leader was some warrior for the people working there. And then the HR lady's more trying to fuzz everybody over with, I don't know what, with the laws, with the policies, and who knows what, make the world nice for everybody.
I don't want to be as anti-union as I am, because like I'm sure if it were like the coal mining days, I'd be all for union shit. But I'm looking at them now. It's like when you, it's like breeding dogs, you know. Like I'm sure whatever the fuck we did to the pug before it was a pug, it was probably something somewhat majestic, you know. And that's what we did to union. We just bred the most retarded versions of everything. Like, this one looks like it has Down syndrome, and this one only has 3 legs, and it's its sister. Let's breed them, you know? And that's what happened to our union. It's the shit people complain about, or like, man, he got more overtime than I did this week. I'm like, oh, did you want overtime? You're like, no. Like, yeah, you never take overtime. Why are you fucking mad right now? Seriously, we had an explosion. And like something in a waste barrel. This is like 6 years ago. Like overheated too much, and it was like nobody was at the facility. It was like midnight. It just boom, it ruptures. 3 of our drums do that, 55-gallon drums. And so we get these emergency calls like, we need people out here. And then the next day, my dad has to deal with the overtime list. We've got like a hierarchy of, we want to keep the overtime fair. You have to bid it. And if you have got less overtime, then you get first preference. And there were 2 people that came to my dad the next day and were like, why didn't you go off the overtime list when you were calling people out there? And neither of these 2 people ever fucking work overtime. Neither of them. And he's like, well, because something blew up. I don't know if you missed that part, retard. Something exploded. So I called the guy first that lives close, because like most of us live an hour away. This guy lives in his tiny buttfuck town that's like 10 minutes away. So of course I'm going to call him first. And I called the people that are most reliable. Ironically enough, not you. You're terrible in high stress situations. And so they had the company. I'm not even kidding you. There's probably something in the contract that says during emergency situations, you don't have to go off the list. That's gotta be a thing. But the company seriously threw these 2 people, like, they're like, well, they made up bullshit overtimes and gave these people that bitched first priority to take the overtime. And it was nonsense. We did not need that overtime. They were going to be sitting on their asses, dicking around on their phones all day. And they didn't take it. So that's what unions are to me right now. I'm sure they were great at one point.
My grandpa, who was one of the most honestest, toughest dudes, I've even written songs about him, about punching my hand in his stomach when he was 80 something. He had a 6-pack so strong I broke my hand against it.
Did you actually break your hand?
I got a jammed finger, so it swole up like really big. So yeah, he was shredded and he was awesome, and he had just a town full of people loved him. He was the union leader of some coal mines in both Price, Utah, and then later in Carlsbad, New Mexico. And I'm sure he did awesome stuff and great stuff, but he also would get really, really frustrated with the union because no matter how good stuff was or wasn't, they'd get forced onto these strikes and that type of stuff, even if he wanted to or not, type stuff. So there's issues with unions, but stuff's always best if there's a give and pull. And then of course there's corruption. Any sort of money gathering for anything, you get corruption in it. I was just watching that thing of Minneapolis and all those Somalis in Minneapolis taking over, and one of the first things that they stole money from was the lunch for kids thing. And I always see Corolla making arguments for parents got to feed their kids. It's just one of those things that they got to do because it's almost kind of like a community thing. Like you got to have parents who are caring about getting food to their kids. But beyond that too, is you could just say, yeah, why do you not just get food to kids? And you do it. And almost every time, like everything, they just steal the money anyway. You know?
Yeah. That's the thing with the free lunches argument. I remember people arguing about free lunches. I hate it anytime we argue about food in America. There's 2 types of people in America that are starving. There are people that are like not filling out the paperwork to get the fucking mountain of free food that we're willing to give away at the drop of a hat. And there's their unfortunate children who like those are the children that go hungry. They're the only ones I feel bad for because they don't really have a choice in the matter. But if you're not a child and you live in America and you go hungry, it's your fault.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I knew, again, bringing back up working at the Salt Palace again, the food pantries, the people who collect food for the homeless, they throw food away every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get more than they need to feed the hungry people around, or at least the people who are willing to
go off drugs.
Food.
Yeah, to be off drugs to get them.
Well, and even barring government thing, like I remember I'm in college and I'm working at Wendy's and we're closing, and it was one of the scariest moments of my life. I go to throw the trash into the dumpster, and as I'm about to throw it, a dude climbs out of it. I was like, "Holy shit, you scared me!" He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, man." I felt bad for the guy. He was probably some type of an addict. And he's like, I was just looking for something to eat, and I was like, "Dude, look, I get a 50% discount. Why don't I go buy you something? We're closing, but I can make something." And so we went, and my manager actually just was like, just give it to him for free. So like shit like that, people don't want you to be hungry.
I mean, I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. A couple years ago, when I was going out to Kearns, when my dad was dying, and and right by the freeway entrance downtown, there's that shitty McDonald's. And so I went to the drive-through, and while I'm sitting waiting for my turn at the drive-through, the homeless guy walks up and goes, "Hey man, buy me something to eat." I'm like, "Yeah, all right. What do you want?" "A large chocolate shake." And it's like, what? Hang on, like that's not really the spirit of the thing. Like, I think if you're hungry, like I'll buy you a burger, but like you've already begged for your burger, now you're begging for dessert. Like that's not how that's supposed to work.
When I got to Brazil, my trainer, the first thing he taught me, and one of the most valuable lessons of my mission, was, look, people here see that you're white, so they see that you're American. I mean, there's a lot of white people in southern Brazil anyway, but they know that you're American, and they think you're very rich. And so they will come and ask you for money. I like being charitable. I really do. So here's what I do. When they come and ask me for money, I say, sure, let's, because they'll tell me that they're hungry. I'll say, sure, there's a market like right there. Because in metropolitan Brazilian cities, there's markets like every 10 feet. And so he'll be like, there's a market right there. Let's go get you some food. And I was like, oh, that's a neat trick. And that's what I did every single time somebody asked me for money. And out of all the times, and it was dozens upon dozens upon dozens, one fucking dude took me up on it. Seriously. Like he's pushing his daughter in a shopping cart. I was like, yeah, there's a market right there. Let's go get you some food. And that dude was so fucking grateful. Like he was a sweet dude trying to feed his kid. We bought him some food. It was an awesome experience. But the rest of them, like we'd be walking down the street. They'd be like, okay. And we'd walk. But you really don't have to do this. You can just give me the money and I'll go get it. Nah, man, it's fine. I'll get it. And finally I'll be like, oh, fuck you, man. And then run away.
They don't sell drugs at the market. What are you doing, asshole?
I'm looking for heroin, okay? You're going to make me say it?
Yeah.
I'll suck your dick for a teenth.
This article, I shared it in the things. I mean, it's really good, and it kind of talks over some of the stuff that might be pertinent to the Charlie Kirk stuff, because one of the big things that people are tossing and passing around is that Charlie Kirk said the Civil Rights Act was bad. He's just a racist. And of course, out of context, that's not what Charlie Kirk said at all. He said 100% the intent behind it was okay, but the bureaucracies that have come out of it have.
Oh, and he goes into it like right away. It's just like the very fine people thing, because in the same breath that he said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake, he says ending segregation, good thing. And then he goes into why he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Like I've listened to so much. Like I've listened to so much more Charlie Kirk in the last 2 weeks than I had ever listened to in the last 10 years combined.
Yeah, I didn't listen to a ton of him either. But even that stuff, like all I know is his couple sentences on it, and he never really expounded on it. I think he probably could have expounded on it, but we know generally that he was probably bouncing off of Christopher Caldwell and Thomas Sowell, as we do, because stuff came up this week that like Scott Adams looked up his claims that during Jim Crow era, blacks had more homes, and Scott said, well, that's just absolutely debunked, but he shouldn't be killed for that. He should just be corrected. And I looked it up, and he didn't say that. He said what Thomas Sowell said, which was the rate was growing faster before LBJ's interventions. Yeah. And that's what Charlie said too. He didn't say they had more homes at that time.
Well, they also had a higher intact family rate than white people under Jim Crow. That should be something that should be a feather in your fucking cap. But really, like if I were a black dude, I'd be so proud of that fact. I'd be preaching it from the rooftops. I'd be like, even when you guys had legitimate racist, restrictive, discriminatory laws, our people were fucking awesome. We had intact families. Our rate of home ownership was growing. Like that's how fucking cool we are. That's gotta, I don't know. It should be a point of pride, right?
Well, we brought it up before here that like the answer to like Plessy versus Ferguson, the train situation about the one drop rule about a black person being the train. It was the corporations that were behind the black guy, not the government behind the black guy, because it was Jim Crow era like laws of that type of stuff. The corporations wanted to not run excessive trains for black people, and for like the market answer was the real solution to the thing. And it would be
even white people were willing to sit in a train car with black people to save a buck.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
And so
sports fixed it too. It's sports and money could have solved racism if we just calmed the fuck down.
Now today I watched a debate with Thomas Sowell was on a panel with like 3 other people or 4 other people, and it was just funny because it was from 1978, and I'm like, wow, nothing has changed.
Yeah,
like except that everything got worse. Like,
well, I had that discussion with Seth. He was trying to, I don't know. There was some post, I can't remember if it was his or not, but it was doing that claim about Charlie Kirk where they're like, he said that if he gets a black pilot, he'll be nervous. Like, I hope he's qualified. I'm like, I've said that like 10 times on video. But like, do you not understand the reality? Because I was listening to Victor David Hanson the other day, and this is what I pointed out to Seth. Victor David Hanson has spoken to Thomas Sowell a lot. They used to get lunch together all the time, and he's talking about something.
that must be, man, that would be some lunch. Like if you
Holy fuck!
Yeah,
Just,
they were like best
yes.
buddies. It was like weekly having lunch together. Yeah.
Yeah, they just sit at that table and I'm just gonna listen. But one of the things Thomas Sowell told him was he was talking about like in the 60s, like under Jim Crow, he would seek out black doctors because he knew that their barrier to entry was massive. So he assumed that they had to be really fucking good.
I would assume that too.
Yeah, you duh. Like of course that makes perfect sense. Yeah, you're discriminating against white doctors, but there's a rational reason behind it. And then now he says, at this point, due to like, the Kenny Shue inconvenient minority stuff, I mostly seek out Asian doctors because their barrier to entry is the highest.
Insanely high.
And Seth just told me that that's retarded and racist. Like, do you not call it racist? I don't fucking care. That word doesn't mean anything. But do you not see the rationality behind it?
Do you not see the inverse racism? Leftists are racist, but do you not see that you guys thinking that they need everything nerfed to get in is the racist assumption?
Yeah. Well, this is that thing. I'm always. I mean, it still racks my brain when I was a kid and I read 1984, and he talks about doublethink, and I'm like, well, people don't actually think like that. Like now, I'm like older. I'm like, oh, yep, that's right. Not war is peace and racism is not racism. Got it. I think whatever you say, Democrats.
Risto says Somalis haven't taken over Minneapolis. Not true, Risto. I saw a video. Case closed. What do you know about Minneapolis? I saw a video.
Did they take over Dearborn?
Risto's from Minnesota over there. No, I'm sure that video is exaggerated, but it is still weird. I mean, I listened to this whole longer thing by Dave Green, the distributors this week, and he just kind of talked about the circles of the leftist and the way they view a rock as equal to a human. That old chart that we made fun of, that conservatives might rank people closer to them higher and people farther from the lesser, but leftists view equality. They've reached this new level of Fowler's levels of faith and Fowler's level of super equality, human level stuff, and their idea that they can leave the world open to everything leaves them open to bringing in smaller little circles of highly ethnocentric, homophobic, and group-centered groups inside of their big tent, and they build a coalition of very, very, very discriminatory groups who only view the in-group and are very tribal inside of our galaxy mind thing of we're open to everybody and all the things come in, and it just can't work. It's going to contradict.
Well,
it has to contradict.
That's where the Lotus Eaters are correct, is that one of the weaknesses of liberalism is that it will allow like hundreds of thousands of illiberal people to come in and vote out your liberal policies.
Yeah, paradox of tolerance in actuality, but yeah, they do have a Somali problem. I don't think it's taken over, of course. Everything, just like England is. I don't really think England's actually fully Islamic yet or anything like that. But boy, oh boy, they're headed that way. Like if
you saw that Dearborn shit, right?
Yeah.
That was
the guy who was that the one who was the guys protesting the name of the town square and he came?
Yeah, they were like honoring someone who was
Hezbollah. He was
Oh, a
Hezbollah.
Hezbollah guy. They're naming a street after a Hezbollah guy, and this dude gets up and says that's so fucked. That's a terrorist organization. And the mayor says, I will celebrate the day. You are not welcome here. You are un-American. You don't belong here. And I will
We'll
celebrate.
have a parade
you
the day
away."
you leave town.
Yeah, that was what it was. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, and that's the type of stuff. I mean, but even
It's
openly,
equality. Can't you tell equality when you see it?
openly in the Islamic community, they say that that's their goal to do that with stuff. You know what I mean? And I think I have a picture of that one. I thought I did. I don't.
Is it one of the lefties love saying this phrase? When
I do.
people tell
Here it
you
is.
what they are, believe them.
Yeah.
This is it. You'd have to go watch the video of the whole entire thing. Actual Justice Warrior did a good video on it. But that mayor right there screamed at this guy just for being against a square being named after a Hezbollah leader who he had the quotes there. The guy said that there's all sorts of violent quotes against Jews and then not only that, it said he had a quote from the guy that we need to bring this to Michigan and take Michigan over. Do you remember like he had that quote in that? Did you listen to that whole thing?
No.
Yeah, that's one of the quotes that he read.
Dude, I'm basically to the point where, so I don't know, we were all called like homophobic and transphobic in 2016. And when they did that, we tried to explain to them why our views aren't actually homophobic or transphobic, or racist or Islamophobic or whatever it was. Then in like the 2020s, you started being like, I don't fucking care if you think that. I know you're wrong. But if one of them actually asked me, if one of them actually was like, hey, I think you're transphobic because of this. Would you explain to me why you don't agree? I would do it. I would be like, well, this is why I don't think I'm transphobic. I think trans people should be allowed to do what they want. And I just don't want to pretend with them. I'm totally willing to let them do their thing. But if they did it with Islam, you're just like, you're Islamophobic. At this point, I'm almost like, yeah. Like,
at this point, I mean, over the years, I'm still just the same, but like years ago, just from Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens, I was basically, 2000 original New Atheists. It was perfectly fine for us to be very, very, very cautious, if not phobic of Islam. That's what 2007
Sam Harris was always spot on that. I remember his debate with Cenk Uygur, and it's a little bit off topic, but Mormon related. One of the funniest parts of that debate is Sam talking about religion, and he's trying to explain to Cenk Uygur how, like, probability wise, it's less likely that Mormonism is true than that general Christianity is true. And Cenk's like, what are you talking about? Of course it's the same amount of stupid. And he's like, no, you don't get what I'm saying, because for Christianity to be true, Jesus had to have risen from the dead and died for our sins, right? For Mormonism to be true, all of that has to be true, and then also all of this stuff. He's just explaining like probability to him, and Cenk just calls him a religious bigot. And I guess religious bigot fits because Sam Harris is Islamophobic, and that's maybe you should be. I don't know. There's very nice Muslim people out there, but the religion as a whole is fucking freaky.
This all just said, I just watched a documentary this week on Khabib. Do you know who Khabib is?
No.
One of the best, probably the best fighter ever in the MMA. And he fought Conor McGregor, like towards the end. They had like that big fight where Conor McGregor attacked the bus. If you saw that in the news or anything like that, he was attacking his bus. But that dude's a Russian dude.
He attacked the bus and he won.
Yeah, but he's a Russian dude and an Islamic dude, and him and his dad seem just awesome. If whatever that is, like and I'm sure there's plenty of them just like that. Those guys in the world, I wouldn't have too much problems like with those guys at all. Obviously, we aren't the ones viewing stuff totally as a monolith, but you do have to view it as a monolith when they start coming in as a voting block. I shared this with you guys earlier this week, but this is how Hitchens would talk about it. I remember being there. Flip used to run this like Sunday morning breakfast thing where he'd have breakfast and he brought people around, and it might have been the closest thing that anybody did to an actual Thrive ever, without any sort of thing behind it, where he just brought a bunch of people in the community to come out together on Sundays and hang out and chill and eat. And it fell apart because of the politics of the era. But he was doing it otherwise. I mean, it might as well just been kind of like the atheist conventions that Troy liked and Doug, and it was all fun and fine, and it didn't even have to be talking about anything. It could have been about soccer. In fact, most times it's about soccer. But it was at those things, and I'm sure Flip's sitting right there, that I first started hearing like different gals who we know were the most maybe anti-Mormon, whatever type people, start chewing us out if we said anything bad about Islam. And we were in a moment where we were just confused by that still. We were still a time frame where we were like, what? Like, what?
You guys are feminists, right?
What? And we were sitting like, it was the pre-dawn era of us figuring out that they weren't going to make those things coincide at all. You know.
So one thing about this whole like
Riso said it would be an adventure to live in an Islamic country. Yeah, for like a week.
So like, because this is okay. Thing about when we talk about Islamophobia, because this is where like I can already hear all the lefties losing their minds. But like Muslims from Bosnia and Turkey are not like Muslims from Somalia or Pakistan. You know,
yeah,
like,
some of those South Asian islands or like those aren't either.
or Malaysian, like Malaysian, Indonesian, like they're like in between. But like, you know, because that's the thing is like Bosnian Turkish Muslims, like the women don't have to cover their hair. Like honor killings aren't happening in Bosnia and Turkey. You know, like they're like cosmopolitan Muslim, which like okay, that's fine.
Why can't we have McClellan should join Islam and progressivize it. Like it's like be an entryist for a religion that actually needs an entryist. We were talking about it earlier. I mentioned to you guys in the chat that Morgan grew up in St. Louis, and a ton of Bosnian refugees came there during the Bosnian-Croatia war, I think, and she never had any problem with them. They were always very sweet to her. Peaceful people, awesome. So yeah, I shouldn't say broadly Islamophobic. I was more making a joke, but
well, the ones that are pushing Shura and doing Hijra, like trying to move to places and create voting blocks to take over countries purposefully, I think that is worth being. If anybody's afraid of Christian nationalism, they have no business not being afraid of Sharia takeover.
Yeah,
like it does not make sense. And we saw Andrew Wilson just this week go and short circuit a bunch of TikTokers by going and talking to them and saying, do you think the world's better without Charlie Kirk in it? And they'd say, yes. Well, why? Because he had racist and Islam and racist and homophobic ideas. He says, okay, so then by that logic, you think it would be okay for Israel to wipe out Gaza? And he said, what? No, what? It's like, no, look at the statistics of what the people believe in that region. And so if you want to hold true of what you're saying about Charlie Kirk, it should hold true for and they just short circuited a bunch of people, which should be obvious. And we all know that should have been obvious all along. But of course, they view them as the oppressed, even though they're the ones who marched into all the 50 different countries and oppressed people out of them more than, I mean, have they been the biggest, colonizers of the modern age? I mean, they might have been. Can't call it colonizing because they still have a pre-modern religion. But
they definitely figured out how to colonize the UK.
Yeah, but beyond that, though, the modernization is happening to Islam like is happening to anything. The power of modernization is an acid without a container itself. So they are going through the same stuff. Yeah, Dagestan is where Khabib is from. It's part of Russia, just a little bit above Iran. And
the Boston bombers, the Boston Marathon bombers, were Dagestani.
No, really?
Yeah.
It seems interesting. Starbase Club says that my parents live in Qatar. My dad would say after 2 years, I still can't tell who wants to kill me. What do you mean by that? Is that like you thought that somebody did, or he's saying that nobody here wants to kill me? Is he saying that? Anyway, but I mean, I guess we're stepping on all sorts of landmines because we're talking about like the civil rights stuff and the homeless stuff and all these things, and every single one of them is like in those Charlie Kirk things, we say there's a moment where like you're not getting the full nuance. But one of my points I was making is like the full nuance isn't even in the Charlie Kirk thing. Charlie Kirk is kind of regurgitating very not poorly, but just you know, as a young guy would in a debate at a college campus, what you should go read, which is Thomas Sowell, you know, talking about how the Civil Rights Act, there's no utopian solutions, there's only trade-offs, and there was major trade-offs with the Civil Rights Act. It traded off different things like freedom of associations. We were talking about here that movie Nona's, where it's a cute little movie where Vince Vaughn gets a bunch of his Italian grandmothers to become the cooks for his grocery thing. Well, guess what? You can't do if you're under the new Constitution of the Civil Rights Act. He can't select for cooks by saying, I only want to select little Italian women. But if we were in a free world, shouldn't that be a thing he should be able to do? You know, maybe, especially if you want authentic Italian cooking. You know, is it racist? Is it sexist? Nope. You got to bring in Juan and Jose and so too to also be there. But well, that's racist or whatever. Okay, but you have to see that the freedom of association in that situation actually was blocked. Freedom of property. Can you rent out to? Is it regulated who you're allowed to rent? Are you fully free with whatever rental property that you own or something like that? Any sort of like just like we talked about arguing last week, freedom of speech. You have Congress shall pass no law against freedom of speech. We had a guy come into our office this week and ask us, can I say this thing to this girl? And he's like, told us a joke. And we're like, no, you can't say that. He's like, okay, I'm glad I'm asked. But I'm like, well, what planet are I still having to ask stuff like that? But you could say it's just the employer saying you could do that, but we have to say that because the government will come down on us if we don't tell them that you have to say that. Like you have to. So there's just a bunch of things where it upended the Constitution as we know it. Christopher's book came out.
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
Anyway, let's listen to this. This was a Hitchens warning years ago.
Or give it to your deadliest enemy and pay for the rope that will choke you. This is very urgent business, ladies and gentlemen. I beseech you. Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing, you will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic. The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They're not the symptoms of surrender. Very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them. And it's your own preachers who will do it for you, and your own multicultural authorities who will do it for you. Resist it while you can. And if you wonder what will happen if you don't, look and see how a cricket team in Middlesex in England had to change its name by force last week because it was called, and had been for years, the Middlesex Crusaders. Look and see how stories about little pigs can't be taught to children in English schools anymore, lest offense be taken by the religion of peace. Resist it while you can.
One of the things that is coming up over and over again is Islamophobia. And well, you can see the stats, you can see the numbers rising, particularly since October the 7th. Although we shouldn't fall into the trap of thinking that before October the 7th, this was all heading in the right direction. It's been far too high for far too long. Clearly, we need to just say over and over again, Islamophobia is intolerable. It can never, ever be justified. And we have to continue with a zero tolerance approach. And I think there's more we can do in government. There's certainly stuff online, which I think needs tackling much more robustly than it is at the moment.
What I'm hoping, Keir, is your experience as a prosecutor means you'll be thinking about the strategy we can use to make sure we take action against those who break the law.
So I got an idea, right? And this could put the Islamophobes argument to bed once and for all. What we got to do is we got to look at the data, not the dogma, data over dogma. We got to look at the data, and we got to think. We probably have a bunch of data on which we can take Islamic nations, Jewish nations, and Christian nations, and we can compare the numbers, right? We can compare the numbers of terroristic attacks coming from each of those nations. It'll be a little bit difficult because there's no like real theocratically Christian nation. Israel's a Jewish nation, but only like it's not Orthodox. But like, if we count U.S. as a nation, we could try it. We could see which of these religions commits the most violence and is an avowed ally of Islam. I'm sure, as I've been told by the Biden admin and the Obama admin before him, I'm positive that white, straight, cisgender Christian males are the biggest risk to us as far as terrorism goes. So we could just fuck those Islamophobes.
That's why we got to get them off of Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and then cry when Jimmy Kimmel gets taken off the air for 3 days off of a channel that is regulated by the FCC. Whereas
I actually totally am watching Actual Justice Warrior talk about this. That was my take entirely. I felt very proud of myself. I had that take where he's like, "Fuck that FCC jackass for saying this." Like if he didn't say it, if he shut the hell up, they would have pulled Jimmy Kimmel for a shitty joke.
Yeah, it got in the way more. It got in the way more than it helped.
Yeah. And then it would have just
they
been
shot themselves in the foot. They could have had such a big win by just doubling down on free speech and letting nature take its course. Yeah.
And then next day, YouTube was going to come out and be like, "Yeah, the Biden admin forced us to get rid of a lot of you right wingers."
Well, thank goodness free speech has been rescued. I've been getting messages all week from a band, people who think I am in a band, and it turns out I am in a band called Propagandy. I guess it's a pretty big band in Canada. I have a picture up on my Facebook of me playing with my band, which is just a local country-ish band. And
Gandhi, huh?
I guess that my picture looks kind of too much like it's more of a metal picture or something like that. So I started getting messages from all these people that, "Hey, can I get tickets to your show? Hey, or so, hey, what's this?" And they assume I am, as you see in the story, digital cover story, Chris Hanna of Propagandy talks at Peace, New Noise Magazine. And if you go listen to their music, the very first song I listened to, it was this cartoon art of them running around with Palestinian flags and all that sort of stuff.
That's a shame. That's a fucking awesome band name.
I am bringing about the what Hitchens is. Well, at least I will on paper. Anyway, Diva's wipe, Tism, Diva's wipe, Autistic Hero of the Week. Ivermectin bad, Tylenol good is a new madness of stuff. Autism announcement, Autism Breakthrough. You have it.
Morgan was freaking out about that. She's like, they said that taking Tylenol, is that why Lucas is autistic? Would he not be autistic if I didn't take any Tylenol when I was pregnant with him? I was like, I don't know. It's probably bullshit. Like most studies are, like I'm not going to suddenly believe it because it comes from a guy that I like. All right.
Well, it does come from Harvard studies, but that Harvard.
No, it does. It comes from Harvard studies. And there was like 30 something studies. 4 of the studies came back saying that there was a negative link between autism and Tylenol, saying that like Tylenol helped, like you're less likely to have autism if your mom took Tylenol. That's weird.
Yeah, and
then there like 2 studies said there was no correlation, and then there was like 20 something studies that were like, yeah, there's a correlation. So I understand where they're coming from.
And there was some conflict of interest in that the person who released like the Harvard studies, I guess, was also a paid. He was a paid sort of like special witness to some sort of major lawsuit or something like that. So, but it's not like the other side of the CDC and all those sorts of money things too aren't paid as well. But Tylenol has said itself since way before 2018 that they don't recommend using their products during pregnancy.
That was one of the funniest tweets. They're like, yeah, we always said don't use it while you're pregnant. I don't know what you guys are freaking out about.
Yeah, no, the thing I was listening to Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla talking about it today, and Dr. Drew's just like, I've been saying for 30 years Like if you're pregnant, don't take anything unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah,
You
just
know, like you just
try
don't
to
take
let
anything.
nature run its course. But at the same time, too, if I were to guess what causes the autism, is my ultimate guess is it's got to be a convergence of many things.
Oh yeah.
Going on with our
that's
diets, with our everything. It's the whole everything.
Well, I talked to my brother-in-law about it, and he has. I won't come down on him too hard because this is kind of the knee-jerk stance that I had when I was younger, when they were talking about, vaccines cause autism and all that shit, because we have more autism now than we had back in my day. And my knee-jerk is, well, you guys just diagnosed it less. Like it just wasn't diagnosed as much, which is true to a degree, but also like you can look around. You can fucking look around and see that even with that being said, there's way more autism now than there ever has been. Or at least, in the last century or so.
This is the thing, though, that I'm always going on about, which is that, like, when I was a little kid, if you talked about somebody who was autistic, you were talking about someone like Rain Man.
Yeah. They were
like, autism was something where like you couldn't live on your own.
Yeah.
You needed help for everything. It was like a severe
you couldn't
disability.
communicate, you couldn't.
Yeah, it's like Scott Adams even mentioned when he was talking to Jesse Lee Peterson about his cancer. And he said, well, cancer responds differently depending on the type of cancer. Different types of cancer are so different that I don't know that it makes sense to all call them the same thing. And that's, I don't know enough about cancer to know if that's true, but I do know that like maybe all types of autism shouldn't be called the same thing.
But this is the same thing though, is like Simon Baron Cohen, Ashley Sacha Baron Cohen's cousin. I know is one of the major like researchers on autism. What he calls it, and I don't think he's wrong, and probably most people won't when they hear it, says that what autism is this hyper male brain.
Yeah.
It's like having that like exceeded. And I don't think it's necessarily wrong to have noticed that there's certain people who are more prone to be less worried about, well, more interested in things and more able to just hyper focus on stuff, and more less interested in interacting with people or what social facial expressions are and that sort of stuff. I don't think it's necessarily been wrong to start including that all into maybe some sort of the same type of thing. But yeah, the way it's tossed around, even how, we're always tongue in cheek with talking about autism here, because that's the internet term for schizo people or hyper focused people or whatever like that. But
I've kind of said it as a joke, but I also am becoming more and more serious about it, where what we used to just call being a nerd is now pathologized as autism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're just a nerd.
Well,
Yeah.
and even so, anytime I think about autism, I think about this. What was it? It was Survivor or something. It was this competition where a bunch of dudes were dumped on an island and they had to survive for a certain amount of time. And there was, there was a leader and he doled out jobs to everyone. There were two guys that were like spearfishing, and they learned how to spearfish somewhat effectively. And they would spearfish all day, every day, and they'd get enough meat to feed the whole group if they worked all day. There was other people gathering supplies. There was other people building shit. And so the leader did a good job. This feels like an evolutionary psychology thing. Like autism almost feels like not the low functioning autism, but the flip brand autism.
Well, maybe
it feels like something that has a function in society.
And it's being
very
selected
valuable.
for more.
There was this one guy in that group of survivors who autistically focused on trying to create a net to catch fish. And for days he was unsuccessful. There's a great Think Before You Sleep video on it from 4 years ago, maybe. And this dude, he was unsuccessful every day. And the people started to get kind of resentful of him. Like, okay, he could be helping us fish and we could be catching more fish. He could be helping those guys build and we could be building more shit. And this dude, people were pissed at him, but he was fucking focused on this stuff. And finally it worked. And because his fishing net that he created worked,
all the ladies boned him. They all got pregnant from
all the ladies boned him. They rode his autistic cock. No, he freed up the fishing guy because he could catch more fish in an hour than they could catch in an entire week. So he could feed them for a week with an hour of work, which freed them up to do other things. So it feels like I haven't looked into the evolutionary psychology behind autism. And I don't even know if this guy was autistic, but the thing that we call autistic now, that guy definitely was.
Well, definitely you could say there's more selection for it, because it used to be the brawny and the musclehead meatheads were more successful in mate selection, and maybe it's been since the last 56 years. The more nerdy who are able to earn money in different ways are who are getting selected for, and we're selecting into it more often. We're selecting into nerddom. Speaking of which, part of Jimmy Kimmel's, we'll get to Jimmy Kimmel, but Jimmy Kimmel's whole thing was just to go on a rant of how Trump was the high school bully. And we're like, yeah, we know you guys thought he was the high school bully. He'd slap the trapper keeper out of your hand and all that sort of stuff. And like, great job, Jimmy Kimmel.
Like also like Jimmy Kimmel, 80% of your career in radio was bullying people.
Oh yeah,
like that's what
the
you
only
did.
apology.
You made fun
the
of
only
people, and then everybody laughed.
Yeah.
The only apology I will accept from Jimmy Kimmel at this point is if he brings back Karl Malone.
Yeah.
So we had to. I just had to fix this so it didn't share her name, but Flip knows her better than I did. But this, I guess she's the mother of an autistic kid, put this thing out, and it's kind of going along with that crip theory stuff of some people saying autism the positives and all that sorts of stuff. But I mean, I do think there's so many different things nowadays about talking about a disability as a superpower or something like that. And I think obviously that you can't say that monolithically. Obviously there's places where stuff becomes too much of a problem, but it does seem like there is some truth for certain tasks in the modern era that autism could be a superpower for, or like having OCD could be a superpower for.
So that's my oldest.
Yeah,
I made the joke years ago that autism causes vaccines.
Yeah, I tell my brother-in-law was desperately trying to convince his family members that the vaccine doesn't cause autism, and I told him, "Oh, just do the thing I stole your joke. I was like, do the thing I do, and I just tell him that autism causes vaccines." He didn't understand it at first. He thought I was agreeing with him. I was like, "No, read what I said." It's pretty funny, but. No, my kid, my oldest kid is autistic. He's 7 right now, and he's socially a little bit weird. But my God, the kid, he has perfect pitch. Seriously, you turn him around, you press a key on the piano, he'll tell you what note it is, sharp or flat included. I'm not kidding when I say he could read before he could speak, because he had an ear thing going on, and he would just kind of hum things basically. We could kind of understand what he was trying to say to us, but I would ask him to point to any letter on the alphabet, and he would point to it. And just the other day, he's got this smartwatch. He calls me on the smartwatch. It can call a couple people, and it can text a couple people that we program in there. He calls me at work sometimes. He called me yesterday, and he was like, "Dad, my favorite square root is 121. The square root of 121 is 11. What's your favorite square root?" And I was like, 49. He's like, "Oh yeah, the square root of 49 is 7. That's a good one, Dad."
He pats you on the head. Good, yeah. Dad. Good, Dad. Good try.
Yeah, he tells me he's smarter than me. And actually, and he's not trying to be a dick about it either. He's like, "I'm smarter than Dad because I know more numbers than Dad does." Because he can tell me like million, billion, whatever, trillion, quintillion, sextillion. He can tell you the order that comes in. Like he's obsessed with pi and fractions, and he's fucking 7. Of course, we're gonna homeschool. You kidding me?
So here's the question, Jared: if you could cure him, would you cure him?
No, I wouldn't change him at all.
So
and I don't know why Morgan was worried about it, because Morgan does not take drugs very often. Like, she's gonna be in pretty severe pain if she's like, "I need a Tylenol right now." So she probably, if I had to guess, I'd say she probably took Tylenol like twice during her pregnancy with him.
I'm trying to think of the last time I took Tylenol. Like,
I've
maybe
taken it like 10 times in 10 years.
I take ibuprofen maybe like 4 times a year. Every once in a while, I get a little bit of a headache, and I'll take a couple ibuprofen.
That's my usual go-to, but I don't do that often either.
I'll do Tylenol or ibuprofen, and it's usually once a week because I allow myself to drink once a week, and I wake up with a hangover. And hangovers only get worse as you get older.
Troy says, "Here's a ball, Dad. Go play with that."
Yeah, I know.
Starbase Glow says, "My autistic nephew can tell you anything and everything about vaccines and vacuums and every Swifter model." Yeah, I love that about people who get really, really into stuff. I remember a kid in elementary school who knew every single bus route, and every single show and tell he'd come and tell us about a different bus route in town. And I was like, this is good information. This is like reading Wikipedia, and I don't even know what that is yet.
Well, that's my kid. He gets obsessed with things. It's really funny because everyone says their kid's really smart, and so I understand when I talk about my kid how people will doubt me. But I'm serious. When he was 3 years old, just learning to talk because he was a late talker, I'd tell him how good he is at spelling, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, your kid's smart, we get it." But then he'd be there, and I would seriously this quickly. I'd be like, "Hey Lucas, what is WATERMELON?" He'd be like, "Watermelon," and he'd be kind of annoyed with me because he'd be like, "Dad, I'm in the middle of something." He
I'm not your autistic monkey.
I know he's so cool. No, I would not cure him.
But that's where some of the stuff in crip theory, if you look it up, you can go to like the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, crip theory, and it goes off of all of the critical theories we talk about. But a lot of the stuff in crip theory does jump off of Foucault and talking about who's to say, what's to say. And a bunch of the people in it want to say, how dare, isn't it ableist or something, saying that disabled is the wrong way to be or something that needs to be cured, or even imagining. I had a friend telling me about how somebody was upset that imagining that when you went to heaven, you didn't have a wheelchair anymore. He's like, I still want to be in my wheelchair when I go to heaven and all that sorts of stuff.
It'll just be an awesome wheelchair.
Maybe you guys will be in wheelchairs and you're the wrong bodies right now type stuff, which is almost kind of a good way to envision what Foucault's always trying to say to people. Like, who's to say you're supposed to have vision? Who's to say you're supposed to have, just because somebody doesn't have vision should be curing it? And there actually is a bunch of fighting inside of the deaf community, and there's a shunning of people who will go and get those
implants, the cochlear implants.
Yeah, and it really happens. And
that's so shitty.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to heal? Why do you want to heal? What's wrong with not being able to heal?
They really say that.
I'd be very sad if I couldn't hear. Are you kidding me right now? Like, music is great. All right. Hearing the voice of your child or your wife, that's fucking awesome. So most people who haven't been infected with Foucault, like, you ask a blind dude who has never experienced Foucault, would you rather be like you are now, or would you rather be able to see him? Like, what the fuck are you asking me that for? What are you talking? Of course I wish I could see you, dick.
Here it is. Let me see if I can crip theory. I'm gonna pull it up real fast. Hold on.
Risto asked, how can you self-diagnose autism? It's easy. It's the same way that Exmo Lex self-diagnoses bisexual. She went into TikTok and she found out that bisexual women like Converse shoes, and she's always liked Converse. And so now she wants to bump beavers with another chick, but she's married, so she's not going to do it.
There it is, a Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, crip theory. Crip theorists insist on the idea that full analysis of this and other sites of interest require both queer and disability theory. These sites include the cultural imperatives of heterosexuality and able-bodiedness, which are significantly tied together. Kafer 2003.
Christopher was laughing at your name, Flip. Did your mom not spring for the name brand Tylenol? Well, you got great value on it.
I was waiting for you guys to grab that.
Your Kroger brand autistic. Did Kroger have the Tylenol? I'm guessing they did.
No. Yeah, that's why I'm retarded even for an autistic person.
Like Joseph Smith has some pretty fucking great memes.
He says, I'm a nerd. I am a little bit autistic. I would say, because, okay, so autism and all that sort of stuff, we joke around on here, and we've even heard some people say don't, but autism and talking about autism like that is too much of 2020's internet to not talk about it like 2020's internet talks about it. But I think generally we're kind of just meaning male brain when we're kind of joking around about
well, it's a joke, and we call ourselves autistic all the time. But like I said, autism is such a broad diagnosis that, like, I worked at a group home for a while. I make jokes about myself being autistic, and that's a joke. But like, if I were Twitter brained and wanting to put everything in my bio, I would legitimately think that I was autistic. And I worked at a group home with a low functioning autistic guy, and I had to like teach him how to wipe his ass. Like, I had to scrub like shit clumps out of his massive ass crack. So when I joke about it, those aren't the same. I don't feel like me and him should have the same diagnosis, but I know for a fact that if I went to a therapist, I am so confident that the therapist would tell me that I'm autistic, and partially because I would probably lead the therapist to tell me that I'm autistic.
We've they successfully dialected that word into a new synthesis of meaning. No, and like I mean, it's really too bad though, because that's the thing. It's like it's the thing we're talking about. Like, well, is autism good or bad? Well, it's both. See how they magically did that? Like, you're an asshole if you care, and you're an asshole if you don't care. Like, that was the success with redefining autism. No matter what you do, you're wrong unless you're doing what they want you to do.
Just to be clear, and not to divulge too much information, because I think there's some weirdness with it too. But Colby was on here saying, "Oh, I am neurodivergent," and said, "Like, join the club." So are we. But I am since the '90s officially diagnosed OCD, and
I can see that.
yeah, and I went to therapists when I was a kid and stuff. However, let me talk about the diagnosis process of that. My parents, who were very overweight and never exercised, thought I was too obsessive with exercise. That's not anything new to you guys. We went and talked to some doctors a few times, and they said he counts all his reps when he exercises and has to count them all. And I said, "Is that true?" I'm like, "Yes, that's true." And that's basically exercise. Although maybe there's an argument for autism. Everybody who's doing exercise, it has body dysmorphia and does exercise and that sorts of stuff. And I said, yes. And then they asked me some questions, and I was just a kid. They say, "Do you do stuff like count the ceiling tiles?" We're Mormons. We're Mormons, man.
You know how often I'm bored?
The ceiling tiles. And no, I don't think I ever obsessively did, but they said it, and I was just like, I looked at the ceiling tiles. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I do that. Like, I'd answer those questions like that, and I'm like, yeah, he's got it.
Your fucking expert class on full display right there.
And that's I'm not joking. That's about the extensive detail put into that. And then
That was my mom. So my dad got an ADHD diagnosis in the last few years, and he's been on Adderall. And my mom was like, "Yeah, I wish we would have taken you to a doctor, because I'm positive you have ADHD too." I'm like, "Well, look, here's the deal. I'm positive they would have diagnosed me as ADHD, but I'm very glad you didn't take me and put me on Ritalin, because the reason they would have diagnosed me with ADHD is because I was fucking bored in school. You know how many people are bored in school? Like, I couldn't pay attention. I didn't want to do any of that shit. You could have been Destiny.
I got the same thing. Like, I was diagnosed as ADHD when I was 14. And like, I would actually love to know if there's any data on how many kids are brought to a psychiatrist by adults, by their parents, who don't get a diagnosis. How often is it that the psychiatrist say, like, "No, you've got a normal kid"?
I'd say 5% of the time, maybe.
I really wonder, like, because I mean, that's things like, because that's the thing about autism diagnosis. Like, you could game one. It would be the simplest thing in the world to game getting an autism diagnosis. Like, again, just be nerdy and you're in.
Let me tell you another.
Do you like reading The Old Man and the Sea more, or playing Star Wars video games? Oh, Star Wars video games. I think this boy might be autistic. My mom told me that. She told me, like, I'm pretty sure you'd have ADHD and we could have got you on meds. It's like, I'm very glad that you had it's sort of the bell curve thing. on the retarded end, they're like, fuck off, everybody's different. And then on the top of the bell curve, they're like, no, you have ADHD, we need to get you on meds. And then on the high end of the bell curve, they're like, no, you're people are just different, so fuck off. And I told her, I was like, look, Mom, I'm not faulting you for this because it's what everybody did, but you stuck me in a room, like a brick room with 2 windows for 8 hours a day and told me to concentrate on one stupid thing that nobody cares about the entire time. Of course I was bored. And I've tried to get my dad to kick the Adderall because he's like, I can focus now. I can pay attention. I can read a book. And because we both have that thing where you start reading a book and you get into the page and like suddenly you've read like 4 pages and you don't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. And he takes Adderall and says that it helps him with that. And I 5 years ago, I just started reading all the old classic books. And anytime I would do that, I would do it constantly. Anytime I would do it, I would go back and I would reread it. I would like force myself to do it. And slowly but surely, my attention span started growing. I mean, I fucked it all since then, but.
Let me tell you another little human experiment I ran after I got diagnosed. They put me on Prozac. I have never swallowed a Prozac in my life. I faked it for years. I would put it in my mouth. I'd spit it out in a bush on the way to school. The bush was right by Lindsay Hansen's Park's house. Maybe that like flooded the water house. Turned her into but I never swallowed one of them. I refused to. And then as I went back, because I had to keep going back to the therapist, they would talk about how well it seemed to be working for me. And I would just sit there and that stuff and be like, yep, sure does. Part of it was I'd heard there was side effects that would make you have a limp wiener. And I was like, no way am I doing that. But secondly, I didn't want a pill to get out of my exercise habit. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, yes, give me a pill so I can stop exercising. This is torture. You know,
they're like, yo, you're too buff, and so we're gonna give you a pill to make you fat. Oh, okay. I'm gonna not take that shit.
Who's to say that exercise is good? Who's to say?
The reason they got like that is because I was a youngish teenager, and we went on a vacation to my grandparents' house down in Carlsbad, and it was really boring and really dull, and I was mad and very teenagery mad that I couldn't work out, and that's about it, you know. So, but at the same time too, all these years later and all this stuff, I can say, yeah, I'm pretty obsessive about getting that in, but at the same time too, I mean, it could be worse. But beyond that, I ran a human experiment that on myself, on the world, that they thought the Prozac was working on me, and I did not take it. And I told my mom about it. By the time I was 18, she knew and found out that I hadn't taken it. So, but sorry, Lindsay Hansen Park.
Was she mad at you?
My mom, yeah, she well. Yeah.
You're the reason that Lindsay Hansen Park is the way she is.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that bush was like a direct into the water line of their house or something like that. And
yeah, first you gave her fucking meth light, and then you jilted her when she was in an open marriage. You sack of shit.
I never jilted her. When
oh, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're just making that part up. I mean, I haven't ever talked about like any sort of her personal stuff that she hasn't talked about. So I made sure. I mean, I do just kind of know some general stuff, but I don't know if she ended up ultimately getting divorced from her husband or not. There was like a separation time, but I don't think that she was even cheating on him during that. That was one of the things about it. She was talking about being open
they got divorced.
Maybe she did. I haven't kept up on her all those years. Last I talked to her, they were still trying to work it out or something. And even in that time frame, she would tell me stuff like, I am free and open. I can do what I want, even though I'm still married. And then like she went to a party and a guy tried to grab my hand. What's he doing? That's so sexist.
Wait, did she also come out? Did she also come out as bisexual?
I don't know. I don't think she did. I haven't.
Come on. She had to have.
Yeah. Anyway, but when you said that, it made me think like it might have looked like her. It might get back to her that I said something that I have not said ever anywhere. And no, she was not.
I was joking.
Yeah, you were joking. But on top of that too, I've not said that, and I'm also not insinuating she was ever in an open relationship either. She wasn't that I know of. She
I'm-
was
I'm
just
just- I'm
open
telling-
to. She was open to dating while separated. if that makes
I'm telling an ex-Mormon joke.
Yeah. Let's see here. Does Tylenol fuck pregnant men the same way? Asking for a liberal.
Be patient. My mom took Tylenol. New profile picture right there.
Remember, calling someone an autist is a slur. Please use the term Tylenol American. All right. Speaking of autist,
I didn't see that. That's fucking awesome. Oh fuck.
we've got another divas wipe to the who done it. So I don't. Speaking of autism, maybe this is a proper jump into autism, but this is now getting into conspiracy world of the second shooter or crying behind the grassy knoll.
Man.
Of the,
Damn.
What?
You know, I made fun of this modernist lighter, but Jesus Christ, it works so fast. Look at this shit. Look at it. Just immediately. Oh,
You're starting fires. That's autism.
right away. Oh yeah.
Go make it drippy. Make it drippy. Does it drip? Does it drip? Drip, drip, drip.
Dude,
drip?
I don't know if you've noticed, but I light this candle.
That's what caused all of our autism, man. The camp drippies with the plastic in the fire.
No, I don't know if you noticed, but every single stream I light a candle and then I blow it out every now and then, and I just dip my fingers in the wax and peel the wax off. So.
Man, you want to know what? Those are one of the things. Those are one of the things that, like, I joke around or you tell kids nowadays, like, you guys don't know what to do with boredom time. Like, every single one of us at one point or another probably tried to stick a pin so it stuck through our skin.
Oh fuck yeah! Or take Elmer's glue and rub it on your hands and then peel it off.
Until it got that sort of stuff. Every single thing that you did to fill the boredom time with your classroom supplies. And sometimes I have a bit of a nostalgia for sitting around doing that stuff with that stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Although part of me also remembers that it came from feeling an intense boredom with whatever the hell we were doing. Anyway,
all right, I'm gonna bail before you get sucked into the next thing because I got early work.
Chris is gonna talk you out of it right now.
You cannot. Well, I mean, you got to be here for. I mean, I think Kara's broken open the story. Exmo
Yeah,
Joe.
dude. If you bail now, here's the deal. This podcast is about to blow up. We're about to have not just dozens, but hundreds of subscribers, and we're gonna start making money. If you keep bailing, your cut from our Patreon is gonna be way less.
We're gonna put the real truth behind a paywall, so people have to pay for like that stuff. We're only gonna ask the questions in front of the paywall and behind the paywall.
How much money would you have to make before like you just stopped asking for money? Because I feel like for me, if I made $5 million, I would pay off all of my shit, and I would retire from my actual job, and then I'd do YouTube shit all the time, and I wouldn't even try to do advertisers or Patreon or anything like that. Like, I got enough, you know.
Yeah,
I made enough money, more than enough. I don't have to work anymore. That's awesome.
You earned interest on stuff. Oh, geez, what did Kara do? Did I watch this?
Oh,
I think I saw this.
This is retarded.
That's right. You shared this. This is profoundly retarded.
Hey, Mormon history expert checking in. Little known fact about Tyler.
Is she an expert? Is she being a comedian there, or is she really thinking that?
I think she thinks she's a Mormon history expert.
Well, she also thinks she's a comedian, which is further away from the truth than her being a Mormon history expert. So I'll give her.
I'm gonna watch the dumb Kara thing, and then I'm gonna.
Robinson, I thought I would just add to the internet here, is that his family history ties back to one of the darkest chapters in Mormon history, U.S. history, pioneer violence. So because Mormons love their genealogy, a friend of mine did some digging and found that Tyler is a descendant of John D. Lee, who is this infamous figure who was actually executed for his role in the Mountain Meadows Massacre that took place on September 11th, 1857, when basically a Mormon militia slaughtered more than 100 men, women, children, immigrants traveling through southern Utah, completely innocent people minding their own business. They did not like it, and it was a very, very sad, bloody day in Utah history. I did like 7 episodes on this with the massacre's main historian on my YouTube channel last year, and it's interesting because we talked extensively.
I take issue with her saying that they were innocent because I don't think a single one of them was pro-gay marriage.
That is a very, very good point.
It is. What was their stance on transgenderism?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that none of them believed that some children were born in the wrong bodies.
They would have voted against the Civil Rights Act of '64.
Actively about political violence in Utah then, and how if we don't acknowledge it, it may very well continue. So I think that's something worth pointing out. At least I know I can hear the pushback of like, it's unfair to
You're a tard,
blame a guy for what his great great grandfather did, or lots of
or you're a tard.
Utahns are related to old pioneer families.
Hey, Kara, expert, because I'm a descendant of one of the perpetrators. I guess I'm not a direct descendant, but I'm related to one of the perpetrators of Mountain Meadows. In fact, like I'm sure if you took all of the perpetrators of Mountain Meadows and counted up all of their descendants, you'd be in the tens of thousands easily. And so, and then one guy gets into furry shit and kills Charlie Kirk, and you think there's a connection?
Yeah, what's the murder rate of this dude's descendants per 100,000, and then compare it to the murder rate of trans per 100,000?
He's got a lot of descendants, and I know that because like I know I've told this story before. I always say I told the story before I tell the story again. But when I was a missionary, like in one of my areas, like there was members of the ward, like so they were still active Mormons. And they were descendants of John D. Lee. It was the Lee family. It was brother and sister Lee and their extended family. And I was talking to like one of the sons, he was probably like 30 or 40, and they are still pissed off that John D. Lee took the fall. Like they're active Mormons, but they also have this thorn in their side that the church to this day has just kind of let John D. Lee take the fall for all of that, and they're like, no, like Brigham Young played a role in it along with, dozens of other people. Like there's a lot of people behind the Mountain Meadows massacre, and I just thought that was so interesting that like, no, they're still pissed off.
I watched Divas' Mormon News Roundup this week, and it was the epitome of any sort of little thing we could tie to Mormonism, we'll tie it to Mormonism, but then act like a complete hatchling to the world if anybody says it has anything to do with ex-Mormon furry, because Ben Shapiro said ex-Mormon furry, and like, this is just outrageous and you shouldn't be making such spurious links and all that sorts of stuff. And if you remember, there was that moment when Divas put out the video of wondering why Jonathan Streeter bailed out on him on a scene. If you go and listen to that episode, if he still has it up, Jonathan Streeter bailed out in the moment. I don't know if it was just like a culmination of stuff, but he bailed out in the moment that Divas was trying to get him to pin some sort of random murder that he heard about on "This Is Mormon's Problem" type deal stuff. and that's when Jonathan's like, I'm out of stuff. You sit down on one of Divas' episodes and you just sit there and wants to put words in your mouth of like, look what Mormons did, look what Mormons did, look what This Is Mormon News Roundup, look what Mormons did and caused and stuff like that. But her take here is smashing.
That doesn't mean anything. So before I get accused of stirring the pot, I just wanted to add that info. I haven't
pot stirred
before you
haven't seen it anywhere out there so far. We don't know a lot of things right now, but that is one thing that we know that I do think is interesting.
That's so I commented on this thing. I called her Candace, Exmo Candace, and it's like, I'm just asking questions. I'm just saying the thing. This is interesting, isn't it weird? Okay.
I feel like we don't know a lot. Like, no, you know what? We know plenty. Like, there's still lots of questions, but the guy was motivated by radical left-wing ideology. That's what we know.
Yes, indeed.
Debate whether he's even a patsy. I kind of want to talk about that as well. This kind of ancestry, though, isn't nothing in LDS.
Wouldn't Robert D. Lee's ancestor be the perfect patsy?
And the sins of the D. Lee will be upon the children under the 7th generation.
Man, I bet you she went and like passed it off to Candace. Candace could use it because I have this whole video of Candace talking about Mormon beehive communism.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if by next week Candace Owens is saying that John D. Lee was a Jew?
It could happen, but she was saying Mormon beehive communism is part of the weird past history of this dude. Crowder and those guys did a special episode on Mormon beehive communism.
culture where, family heritage and pioneer identity and all these generational narratives can carry a lot of weight.
All the narratives except for the cornball, crappy leftist normie ideology of you guys. We saw that thing this week. Christopher Rufo posted it. I don't know what article it's from, but they called it radicalized normies. Did you see that one?
Well, yeah, that was my name.
Here it is. Like,
I'm a radical normie.
Radical normie terrorism.
Yeah.
They really started calling that. There might be some truth to that, because guess what radical normie is? Radical Reddit normie nowadays is shit lib lefty. That's what radical normie is.
Oh, dude,
and
no, I had a
terroristic.
Do you remember during the whole punch a Nazi debate like a decade ago?
Oh yeah.
So I had this friend. I mean, we're still friends, but so he's just a normal lefty guy, and he's on Facebook. He's not very political. He doesn't say much about politics, but he's like, hey, guys, we can't punch people just for things that they think and say. And I'm not even kidding you. He was labeled a radical pacifist by one of our mutual friends.
I love this stuff. I hate it, but
so for a young man raised in the church, knowing that he was tied to this massacre, could have.
This is so super professional. Here's a Forrest Gump moment too. I ran into her. I didn't run into her. I didn't talk to her, but she's at my Harmon's that I shop at she was there. I hope that's not where her actual house is. I'm going to see her all the time there. And in Park City, I saw what's her name? Julie Hanks.
Could have shaped his worldview in some complicated ways. Maybe some pride in pioneer brutality and in this.
I should have spit Prozac at both of them.
God, atonement. So familiar with alt-right groups like Desnat right now. Shame, inherited guilt.
Drop all of the associations except for the one that it actually is, Kara, which is your shit lib ideology.
I watched this. I watched it, and it's even now, after having already watched it, it's more retarded than I remember.
It really is.
Yeah. Troy says radical normie terrorism. That's an indictment of where we are with the Overton window. Is
Troy. I think of Troy every time Chris had a great line, and I've used this line anytime people like at work try to talk to me about Trump and accuse me of being a Trumper. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. This is a Chris line. I say, I'm not a Trumpist. I'm a Trump calm the fuck downist. That was a Chris line, and I very much appreciate it because it's actually helped a lot of people to understand where I'm coming from. And I think of Troy every time because I remember when the election was happening, it might have been in Mormon Stories podcast community, and I only saw it through screenshots because I'm banned from that fucking group. They were talking about who you're voting for, and Troy just said, me and my wife I think we're going to have to hold our nose and vote Trump. Like, he wasn't happy about it. He didn't want to.
I think there's no such thing as being happy about somebody who makes it to the top of our politics.
I just heard Thomas Sowell say one of my, God, he's got so many great little pithy sayings, but one I just heard was, Democrats are the only good reason to vote for Republicans.
That's really basically it right there.
It's good. That was what convinced me to vote in 2020. I don't even care. Like, I didn't vote in 2016. I didn't hate Trump, but then I was mad at him at first in the primaries because Rand Paul was my guy. But by the time the actual election rolled around, I didn't hate him, but I didn't vote. And then in 2020, I was going to also not vote because I was like, who cares? But what got me to vote in 2020, I voted Trump, and it was because like the day before Kamala Harris like tweeted out the most retarded video on equity, and I was like, look, I know Trump already has Idaho, and so my vote is meaningless, but this is like a spiritual vote against you.
Yeah, I generally only vote against the worst thing. I don't look at anything else as the best thing. And it drives me crazy that anybody acts like we all aren't just doing a form of triage. That's always, I mean, some people are super honkies, of course, but most of us are just doing triage. Just what can we stop bleeding first? And Trump had some things that I thought needed to start bleeding. But I was talking to one of the Hydra. I was going to make a meme of the Hydra of you make a comment on Facebook and you see this face and you go, there goes my afternoon.
Yeah.
There's like 5 or 6 of them who you have to at some point just not answer back a stupid thing they will say, or you'll be lost with them forever. So I'm just gonna let that stupid softball lie because I can't be here all night. And
every now and then I'll get on the bus in the morning to go to work, and I'll open up my Facebook and I'll be like, Jonna Spangler replied to you. I was like, oh fuck, god damn, why did I?
There's like 7 of them or something like that.
And I say her name because she's pretty much an Exmo public figure at this point.
Risa says, answer a fool in his folly. Yeah, we had that whole question before, and it comes from the Bible, right? But my argument to him was, all I thought Trump was there was a tornado of government, and he was a fart in the opposite direction. And that fart, like anything, could just become more tornado, and so that's the worry. You know what I mean? But
he's a wrench.
He might fart the other direction of the tornado, but there's a high chance that just also becomes tornado wind, and that's government for us.
Well, this is what I tell people for years. I'd be like, look, he's a wrench in the machine, and I hate the machine. I know there's people that view him as a mechanic that's going to come in and diagnose. I don't view him like that. I view him as a wrench, and the machine is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Subconscious drive to reenact a violent covenant in his family name. I have no idea whether or not.
That's so Candace-y. Like even when I wrote Candace, I didn't even, because I've listened to more Candace since then. Like this is exactly Candace does. That's so Candace-y. That is Candace Owens, straight up.
Was consciously embracing that legacy.
Was he? I'm just asking questions. Was he embracing the legacy of Mormon murderers from all the way? Was he like, oh man, I'm really into furries, but then I was thinking real hard about my great grandpa and the Mormon.
You can't possibly think that.
In between, I don't think porn video games. I really felt in touch with the hearts of the children turn to their fathers right during furry porn. But I think of him. What the fick? But she's asking questions.
It just to me is an interesting lens and piece.
It's exactly.
No, you don't believe it. I refuse to believe that you're retarded enough to believe the words that are coming out of your mouth right now. You're not smart, but you're not that stupid.
It's so
like that's retarded. I think I might have mentioned this last week, but like if I were around during the Ronald Reagan era and the guy shot Ronald Reagan, I would have probably guessed he was like a lefty guy. That would have been my knee jerk. Yeah, he's a lefty guy and he really hates Ronald Reagan. And then later I would have found out that, oh no, he's just a psychopath who was trying to impress some actress. And that's it. That's as far as it goes. But you're over here like, oh my God, he was Mormon. Okay, let's just do some fucking math, you dumbass. Just a little bit of immediate brain calculations here. Okay, Charlie Kirk gets shot. Who are the immediate suspects?
That's not any evidence.
My knee jerk is I'm leaning like 90% toward insane Hassan style. Yeah, insane Hassan style lefty. Maybe 10% toward it could have been the Groypers too.
There is
that
always
fucking retard. Yeah,
of a crazed super fan. Like
sure.
That is a concept. Yeah.
That is a thing. That's okay. What 9% Groyper, 1% crazed super fan, and like, how do you not do that calculation immediately? If Hillary Clinton were shot tomorrow, my immediate reaction would not be like, it was probably a normie Democrat who voted Hillary Clinton and then Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris. Because that's retarded. That was the most retarded part about the Jimmy Kimmel thing. Holy fuck. I don't think he didn't celebrate Charlie Kirk's murder. I understand that. And he was nice, saying that like that's terrible. He was murdered. Nobody should be killed for that.
I was impressed.
He
at all that
fucking
he cared to say
lied.
that. Yeah. Well, you know their workaround for saying that he lied, though, right?
I know their workaround. It was what was it? He's saying
he
that
only
MAGA
said-
is desperately trying to convince themselves that it isn't that it's anyone but one of their own, which is technically true, because they were trying to say no, he's not MAGA.
They're trying to do that because it's 90% most likely true.
I know.
That's why they were doing that. Yeah.
If Hillary Clinton were shot tomorrow and conservatives were trying to say it was a normie Democrat, I'd treat them just as poorly as I'm treating you right now, you absolute dip fuck.
And it would sound stupid as shit to say, well, these Democrats are just working overtime to make sure that everybody knows it's anybody but a normie Democrat.
Of the puzzle where Tyler's religious background and potential radicalization might have interfered. Hey, Mark.
No, it isn't Candace Owens. Oh.
All righty. I'm gonna.
You got one more piece.
This jackass.
What? He listens to us and talks to us.
The last one took 20 minutes.
No, this one's. Just let it go. Just let it go.
I want 24-hour surveillance on this guy Tyler Robinson. I don't want a camera around the corner like Jeff.
My little brother works in law enforcement and in corrections in Salt Lake City, high up in. I'll text him now for you, Exmo Joe. I'm texting him now for you because you ask it, you got it.
Jeffrey Epstein. I want a camera on Tyler Robinson's cell. I want 24-hour surveillance on this kid. I'm not gonna get it. I'm asking.
I'm going to get it for you. I'm getting it for it because you asked for it. Nobody thought of it till now, but it's a good point.
I'm stating now. Today, the date is now 6:09 p.m. Utah time, September 19th, 2025.
Oh, shit. It's been a week. It's probably dead or something.
He's already dead.
Who have my own true crime podcast officially think that this young man.
So you are like Candace.
So I just realized the reason that the Jews created this whole myth about him being a furry is that when they walk him out and he's in that suit, we won't know that it's actually not him, but it's just a body double in a different furry suit.
Oh my gosh.
I need to get onto an ex-Mormon space and compare these people to fucking polygamy deniers. They would love that.
Robinson accused of shooting Charlie Kirk a week ago at Utah Valley University. I think he won't make it to trial. I think he will be disappeared. I think he is being framed. I'll have more soon.
Blue Anon. Blue Anon. Blue Anon. Flip, you're good to go whenever you want to go.
This was a good one. All right, I'm going to bail.
The caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat.
Light is a reference to Aryan superiority and enlightenment. A cross-analysis of digital sources of Mein Kampf show that light and darkness are used at least 30 times to describe the Aryan struggle against Jewishness. Hitler often refers to the light of reason contrasted against the darkness of his enemies. Make no mistake, this was a Nazi rally.
Kind of sounds like normal political rhetoric.
Normal political rhetoric?
That our enemies cannot comprehend or understand.
Enemies? Hitler had enemies! Nazi philosopher Carl Schmitt formulated the friend-enemy distinction in his 1932 work.
That part right there might be a dig at James Lindsay. He just released a podcast on Carl Schmitt and the concept of the political, which a big part of the concept of the political from Carl Schmitt is the friend-enemy distinction. And I saw it piss off a lot of those types, and this might be taking a dig. But there was also this backdrop of Matt Walsh on the TPUSA thing said, it's just now clear who my friends are and who my enemies are. And James Lindsay kind of jumped on. I think it's James Lindsay getting out over his skis a little bit because I don't think Matt Walsh has read Carl Schmitt. And But he brought it up and said it. But even Carl Schmitt's friend-enemy distinction isn't first. It's just an observation, first of all, and second of all, it's just not that. I think it's just not that deep of a concept. It's almost like those other concepts we were joking about of like, why do we reference or even give that to Carl Schmitt? You know what I mean? Like,
it's well, I might have mentioned it already. Again, sorry, Adam Carolla. With the whole, I think it was a comedian talking about, like, yeah, my father once told me that Abraham Lincoln said, "Whatever you are, be a good one."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "We really gonna attribute that to Abraham Lincoln? you don't think that anybody else ever said before that for probably hundreds of thousands of years? Do things right, do things well. If you do a thing, do good at it, okay, buddy?" And that's what this feels like. Oh my God, he said enemy. Yeah, people have enemies.
Yeah, there's a little bit more to Carl Schmitt's friend enemy distinction, but it's really just talking about the political. And in the political world, it's talking basically about like growing a bigger tent for people who might be voting in alignment with you, and make an enemy of any sort of people who are voting against your whatever you are. One of the ways you could kind of like pull into saying that maybe it has some Naziist or whatever type stuff is he brings in identity. Like, are they voting against your identity or something like that? But I don't think it has to have that identity factor in it. It could just be your political friends are, please briefly.
Risto asked, "Can you make us mods, like of the YouTube channel?"
Yeah.
What do you mean by like all of you? I don't care either way.
Does anybody else want to jump on? Anyway, I'll go back to where am I? Ooh.
I've been trying to coax Starbase Kolob into coming on.
Concept of the political, which enabled Hitler's dictatorship and influenced countless Nazi thinkers. To this day, Republicans and other fascists can be found referencing having enemies. Can't you see it?
Everyone has enemies. You're investigating enemies.
Of the army that they have arisen.
Army. Where have I heard that? Eureka! Hitler had an army! Can't you see it? It's a direct reference to the violation of the Treaty of Versailles and the Wehrmacht. Virtue is a dog whistle term Hitler used. Trump's administration is planning a new Nazi Holocaust. Charlie Kirk has the same birthday as George Floyd. Erica Kirk has 3 K's in her name. KKK. The signs are everywhere.
Okay. We get it. Here's another one, genius. Charlie's killer said he did it because Kirk was a hateful fascist. You're an extremism expert. What side do you think he was on?
I don't know.
You have no idea.
I don't know.
Not even a guess?
I don't know.
Wow, she really is a savant.
Hey, I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. Do you remember January 6th, 2021?
Nope.
Wow, well, that's a shame because it was like 9/11 too.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. We don't know what their political motivation was, though. That's the thing. That's the thing is they could totally. I think they might be lefties.
They all might have been lefties out there.
I'm pretty sure they were Biden voters who were revolting against Biden getting elected the president in the Democratic election. I think that's what happened.
It was like when Smithers told Mr. Burns, like, they're not booing you. They're not booing you. They're saying boo Earns. Boo Earns. That's what was going on. That's what was happening at January 6th. They were framed. They were misrepresented. They were there yelling Biden, boy, not boo. It was boo Biden. Boo Biden. Boo Biden. Anyway, all the way back to this stuff. I mean, it's kind of just the same thing that Jonathan was trying to express last week. Not just the complete lack of coverage of it, but we see there with those guys that not only Lori Vallow, a Mormon who conspires the heinous murder. Let's do 100 hours talking about what radicalized her. Tyler Robinson, ex-Mormon, who allegedly, I had cut it off with that Hillary thing. It said ex-Mormon who committed a heinous murder. Discussion about that radicalized him is too political and not allowed. But not only that, it's just with those guys, it's just not even what. And go and listen to Davis's Mormon News Roundup. Like, what are these guys even talking about? An ex-Mormon furry? How that's kind of crazy and weird. I'm a new hatchling to the world. What is Ben Shapiro even talking? I've never seen an ex-Mormon furry. This isn't a thing.
It's this whole thing is ex-Mormons pretending that ex-Mormons don't exist. Like,
It's not a
he was
monolith.
raised.
It's not a thing. It's not something you could point at.
Well, they're all like, he was raised in a MAGA Republican Mormon household. It's like, well, so were you, faggot. What are you talking? So was I.
Yeah. That stuff, the whodunit, the conspiracy stuff, the whole Candace stuff, man. It kind of depressed me because I did it all this time, even through like the Jordan Peterson and the Shapiro fights and all that stuff. I honestly didn't pick a horse in any of that sort of stuff. And
Oh, dude, I feel so vindicated because I've been saying since the first time I saw her that I don't fucking trust Candace and she's a fucking idiot. And okay, I don't think I actually don't think she's stupid. I just think she's malicious. Morgan really liked her, and she was like, "You really think she's lying about this, or is she misinformed?" I was like, no, she's lying. She's a liar. She's not a.
Well, what's really disheartening to me about it is like she knew this dude. Like I would feel greasy about doing what she's doing.
Oh yeah,
just for Charlie, who I don't know.
She should feel greasy.
She knew him. She knew him, and I don't know. I'm mind reading a little bit, but it really feels like she knows that she's just using this as a hot topic angle, just like the hot topic angle of Brigitte Macron's crotch or something like that. Which, by the way, did you hear like an expert reviewed her crotch and she came back girl?
Imagine wasting time on that shit.
She might lose millions of dollars, but she might have gained it all back by putting like, you know, that one picture of the dude eating at Dairy Queen. She put that behind a paywall for a night before she released it to the world. And I noticed somebody else saying somewhere that she's the only source of that picture. We can't really verify it or even include it in as part of the timeline, as so many people have just kind of willingly done. And it doesn't even really have like a real timestamp on it. But anyway, yeah, she's making all this money. Maybe there's a part of her that thinks she's doing it to vindicate and save Charlie. But to me, it just really does kind of seem like
she's just lying.
You think it's 100% cynical. There's not an ounce of her in her that knows or thinks a little bit or justifies to herself she's doing it for Charlie.
I don't know. I at this point I don't care that much. I've never trusted Candace Owens. Probably because I'm racist and sexist. Who knows? Imagine lefties trying to use that against me. She's lying for the most part, I would say. I'd say a lot of this I think that she knows that the Brigitte Macron thing is bullshit.
Well, so here's one of the things that makes me sniff something out, like the Brigitte Macron stuff. Yeah, but her show today, so she's Johnny on the spot with every single thing. Like she's watching all of this, seeing all the different people release every different little possible angle and all that stuff. Last night we watched an angle of a shot from the back right of Charlie's head that somebody else had put out. We saw that video, right? She's so Johnny on the spot with all these different things. There's no way she didn't see that video of the back right? She's seen it already. But then today, you know, just a few hours ago, she releases and talks about that range gay bro or whatever.
Yeah,
the
I'll
one
be
that
right.
Seth, oh, you gotta go.
I'll be right back. I got a kid having a meltdown, so Morgan needs some backup. But I'll be back in a sec.
Well, I'll keep talking about this. Anyway, if people don't know, and Jared had it sent to him by one of our lefty friends who we don't think is ever acting in good faith, sent over this range day bro video that breaks down, and Candace shared it on her show today if people are watching it. And that video supposedly breaks down that it's just case closed, obvious that he got shot in the top right of his head. And just seeing the video yesterday before seeing any sort of without seeing any sort of a answer to it, just off the top, I thought that video was fishy. And I went snooping around myself and kind of made a bunch of stuff. I don't know how much of Charlie Kirk stuff I can show on here because like so many of the different videos and things have the shot in it and have the angle of where the bullet is going and stuff. So I don't know if I want to show them. But if people haven't seen the Range Day Bro, Candace showed it on her show halfway through. We saw the video yesterday and we looked at it and the video didn't make sense. Then Risto just sent over another video that smashed that out of the water. But worse than that, we saw a different video of the back right of Charlie's head. You can get videos of the whole incident from the back right of his head. There's no way Candace didn't have that video as well before her show today, which she just showed the Range Day video as if it was new. My guess is by tomorrow she'll say that she has the angle from the right, but my guess is she for sure saw that picture from the back right before playing today, but decided to just play it like dumb, like she didn't know that the new information had come yet because she could make a day of whoopee off of that. That's my guess. My guess is she didn't want to, or maybe she will never admit to seeing the back right shot of the video. But the Range Day video shows this whole little like slow motion thing of the dude Charlie sitting there, and it looks like he gets shot in the back right of the head before a bullet goes in here. So it must be that there was an entry shot right here and an exit shot right here. It sort of looks like that because before you see the blood right here, you see something shoot up right here. And he says, that must be the entry wound or something like that. But I'd already seen, even Ian Carroll had already seen and noticed that there was an earpiece over on that side that had gone flying right when it got hit because it was attached around like his neck and the whole back. Well, you can see video footage now of the back right side of his head where you can plainly see the earpiece and that thing in there. And what shot out right there is an earpiece. It's not a bullet going in. And it does not look at all like a bullet goes in, but it also does not make sense at all with the angles of anything that the Range Day Bro dude showed. And that Range Day Bro dude was talking like it was the end all be all of all the stuff that he'd ever seen. And Risto sent me a video just a little while back of contesting that thing. Anyway, I genuinely believe that she already knows the we got some visitors here. Normie Ryan, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Not bad. No one else was jumping on, so I thought I would.
Well, thanks for popping in. What do you think about? Are you popping in for the Candace Owens talk, or did you want to talk about some of the other stuff we were already goofing on?
No, I can talk about Candace Owens. I think she's a moron.
This stuff has been out of control. Have you been watching her, or is she such a moron that you're just like, I can't take this?
Oh, I haven't been watching a lot of her. I'll watch like her really short clips. But yeah, I can't take much of it. I mean, I don't know. A lot of it just doesn't make sense.
No, it for sure doesn't. I mean, especially well, with this video that came out, maybe we'll start watching just a little bit of this video that answers Range Day Bro, just to show it. Have you seen the Range Day Bro video?
I've seen a video. I'm not sure which one I saw. It was posted by oh hell, I can't think of his name. You know him. He's a conspiracy theory guy on it.
Ian Carroll?
No, gosh, he was excommunicated. He's an anti-polygamy guy. I can't think of his name.
Like Hamer and those guys, or oh, I can't think of it. Have you seen this video? This guy here, Range Day Bro?
Yes, I think this is the one I saw.
Yeah, so this guy's video, I just when I initially saw it, it didn't make any sense. And this video's, I mean, it's overly long right here. Oh gosh, we're showing the stuff, but all it really shows is like his claim right here is that this is an entry, and that's blood shooting out right there. It's not blood right there. In fact, this guy says there's no blood in his video. That's his earpiece shooting off. And you can see it because now there's footage from the back right. And but Candace, she surely had this footage because we saw the back right yesterday. and she's Johnny on the spot with everything. But she just showed this video today, like, oh my gosh, it must be this. And they showed this angle of the thing that well, it must have been that. And that angle is impossible. It's impossible to get the shot in the back right of the head where they're claiming it's happened. Let me see if I can just like fast forward to some of the spots. And he does a good job breaking down the things. Like you see this footage here, the places those guys are saying he must have been shooting from, it would have, so to be in the back right of his head, he's under this tent right here. He would have had to been up over what? In the cement wall over there or something like that. But then what about the roof of the tent to go at that angle of the head to come out of this part of the neck? And that doesn't make any sense. But so it's going further. It shows how the guy shows look, there's a possibility the angle here, and the tent that he shows is the other tent. It's the merch tent. It's not the tent he was in. And this guy does a really good. I'm going to just post it in the links, but you can see it right here. So this right here, that range day bro, can you see my mouse on the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
That thing that he thought was the shooter is a bush, and it's this bush right here, and it's a bush that's still there. The thing that he shows is the pixelated shooter, and it has to be right up there down to Charlie's tent right there. To go into the back of the head, it would have had to go through the roof of the tent, and then on top of it, I mean, it just doesn't make sense with the angle at all. But then you can see that back here, if it was to go from the other side of his head to come out of the neck, it would have had to been somewhere in the wall or something like this. Now, it just doesn't make sense with the angles, even the angles he drew on the stuff. And and Candace showed that like it's definitive proof it's in the back. And other people are saying like, sorry, this is just over. It's in the back or something like that. But you can also watch video, which I think he has in here, of the back right of Charlie's head. Anyway, this is all stuff that people probably don't even need to see. There's the angle of that bush right up there.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Well, what I don't get is, okay, let's say that it's this grand conspiracy.
Yeah.
And the normal story of where the young guy shot him from, that really wouldn't be that difficult of a shot.
Mm-mm.
And why lie and say it was there if it was really somewhere else? Why not just really do it from there? I mean, if it's a conspiracy, I don't see why they got to lie about where the shot came from.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And on top of that, too, is I'm positive that if the FBI put out their story, that they would debunk it to the real story like in 10 seconds. Like, no way, that's obviously the front, and it's all sorts of stuff right there, because it just fits the narrative and stuff. So I know a gal who was there. She was there down in the thing. And I asked her last night where the direction of the shot sounded like it came from. And she said we couldn't tell. It was just really loud. It was just so loud we couldn't even tell to look anywhere. And so one of the things they all say is like, look, nobody looks behind them when they're right there. You go, but they also don't look in the direction of your shooters. Like,
right.
What are you guys talking about? You know? And there's so many different things about that. And then I stop and think about stuff too so she's pushing the government or Israel.
Yeah.
She never said that. She never said that. Is going after him. How would Charlie Kirk not be more useful to either Trump or Israel alive? Like, just even besides being supposed like friends, I think they actually were friends, all of them. But put that aside. Just say they're complete Machiavellians. Why would Charlie Kirk not be more useful live to them than dead? He helped swing the election with youth in swing states. Trump's probably more pro-Israel than Biden was. Like, why would they want Charlie Kirk gone?
I don't know. I mean, why haven't they killed Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, no doubt. Or Candace.
Yeah, or Candace herself. I don't get what this just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any. But then beyond that too, is they say, well, there's some evidence that he was changing. Like, no, I mean, Charlie was an honest guy, and so he'd like point out stuff like, I don't like where this thing goes a little too far, but he was still squarely on the side of Israel. Even like David Smith would talk about that and say that sort of thing. Dave Smith was part of the reason why they supposedly said he was changing, because he brought Dave Smith to debate on Israel, the Turning Points, just like a month ago. But Dave Smith, you can listen to him on his own podcast saying No, he was still that guy. He said that you guys have some good points. You guys have some good points, and he sent me some text messages that he has some good points that you've got to be careful with human life and all that sorts of stuff. But he was still with Israel, and so there was just it didn't make all that stuff doesn't make any sense. And beyond that, Robert Barnes asked the question that was a way more sensible question. You wonder why they don't jump to it. Like, why don't you guys jump to Ukraine? Like, Ukraine would be the better. Like, Charlie was against completely sending money to Ukraine and always was. The Ukrainian people have people who might sort of do that. Why do you jump into it? Must be our FBI or Israel. So that stuff's just goofy. But then the whole other thing is we had this whole picture here that Andy No had shared, that he had some intel and stuff that Antifa was using Israel and that stuff is a good angle to get off of just having it be what it is, that it was some kids who got whipped up and radicalized by their lefty nuttiness, you know. And Antifa knows that they can use that to distract from it. So they're going to play into it. And that's Andy No reporting on the screen right there. But
well, yeah, I just think it's idiotic. He was Charlie Kirk was interviewed. Do you ever watch Megyn Kelly's show?
yeah, I did. I just watched it earlier tonight. But yeah, he was on there like maybe a month ago, and they were giving some criticism to Israel. Yeah.
And he really, I didn't get the idea he was changing his mind. He was just frustrated that, you know, some of the over the top Israel supporters were mad that he was still friends with Tucker Carlson and some people like that.
Or brought Dave Smith on to debate at Turning Point. There's a thing, Carrie Smith from Deprogram did a really good episode on all of it, where she pointed out that some of the biggest things that people use to say here's where Charlie Kirk was turning on Israel, those were from 2023, and you can find clips way after that where he was way bigger honky for Israel. So it just didn't make any sense. Like, Charlie was just kind of he wasn't prone to be a liar. So he'd say, like, I don't like this, I do like this, but I'm squarely on the side of Israel. And he just would always say, well, I hope that you could spare human life. I hope that you could, that sort of stuff. He was against starting an overall war in Iran, but to kill him, like he'd be more useful dead to him than come on, like it does, like, why? Like he was the least intelligent person that it would have been to off on your own side for some sort of reason. Like, it doesn't make a lick of sense, you know.
No, yeah.
We talking Israel?
We're talking like, why on earth would Trump and Israel want to get rid of Charlie Kirk?
Yeah. Who would they get rid of?
Well,
you said it. Go ahead.
There's lots of other people. We're already talking Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens herself.
Exactly. I mean, like, why not?
Why are they shooting Kirk?
Yeah, that's retarded.
I mean, some people were noticing that Candace has a bigger reach now than almost all. Candace is getting 8 million viewers a stream.
Yeah.
It's unreal, but maybe a bunch of people are watching for the car wreck that is too on top of it. But what do you think, Ryan, that of the weird text messages?
Well, I think Waterman. I don't know. Waterman. Rock Waterman.
Oh yeah, Randy.
Yeah. I saw his post about the Candace.
But does he think it's a second shooter setup?
Yeah. He always leans towards the conspiracy. He's kind of a funny guy that way. But the text messages, no, I really think it was a pre-planned cover for the furry tranny. Because I think
the girl boyfriend,
that's the most likely. Yeah,
I think so too. Like if anybody wanted to add that there was some sort of other government involved in this, I would give leeway to that in the sense of they were some of the people who helped fund different things like armed queers and that sort of stuff. And they put money into things on that side. And maybe just like any sort of like stochastic terrorism stuff, they didn't know who the target was going to be or something like that. But if we just fund these different things back here that whips up these people to be crazy people because they're going that direction anyway, and give them the tools and ability and funding to do it, that could turn into a murdering of who knows who. But we're just gonna like let that be, kind of like that V for Vendetta thing of like, I don't have to even set it up, I just wait for the match, to hit or something like that.
Troy agrees. He said, I think texts were designed to cover for the help/encouragement Robinson got. That it seems like the most.
I think it is true too.
Also, Risto says if you watch Tyler's traffic stop, he speaks pretty formally. I hadn't seen his traffic stop. I didn't know we had.
Yeah, he had a traffic stop, and one of the other things people noticed is like he was traffic stopping in an Audi, in like 2000. He was like 17 years old and driving like a real fancy car or something like that. So they noticed like both the kid where they were living, their parents paid and owned for like the townhouse that they had, and like they were rich kids. They were rich kids who turn into this when they have too much navel gazing time or something like that. But yeah, he got stopped at a traffic stop and he just talked like, yeah, sure, that's sure. He did say car. He didn't say vehicle, though.
He said
car.
So, I must ask you, Fair Knight, why did you pull over my vehicle? I'm on the way to see the maiden of my dreams, my love, if you will, the love of my life, my soulmate, in fact. And so I would very much appreciate if you could acquiesce my request and we could get on with our day.
No, but he did kind of talk more like, yeah, that's the thing. I had the vehicle over there and I got T-bone right there on this side and right here. And it could be my vehicle 10-4, buddy, good buddy. I'm not fully accented like that, but you could see him talking like a dweeb a little bit or something. But at the same time too, I think it's fishy. Like it was doing a Breaking Bad. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also wonder, if he pre-planned what he was going to say. I mean, did he plug it into some Chat GPT, and that's why it sounds so weird, calling it a vehicle squad car.
Well, I could imagine plausibly that there was a larger cell of people, even given to like Candace, like maybe the possibility is like there was more than 2 people with guns there trained on him. There was only 1 shot. But maybe there was multiple people in case it didn't work or didn't happen or something like that. And there was a group of them. And maybe when they went back, maybe even the boyfriend, girlfriend was there at that time with them. There was a group. And maybe when they started doing the text messages, they were just right by each other or something like that. And maybe one of the persons typing his end of the text to exonerate the other guy was like some sort of Yvette Fayarka or somebody like some idiot like that.
Yvette Fayarka, yeah. I got to address something. Risto said that Jared sounds like Milo. And having noticed, I am rather drunk right now. In fact, I am pissed as a fart right now. But I'm not nearly drunk enough to sound like Milo. That was a terrible accent. I'm so sorry.
So this is my argument right here. Is this video where you can see his whole earpiece pop off before his head's even moving at all. It flies off, and that also could account for, you see how it wraps around right there, for why the shirt moved up here at the front. But that.
Well, okay, I had a conversation with Seth about this in DMs. I'm trying to be open-minded. I really am. I'm very much open to the idea that the government, as Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys would put it, does some fucking shit, But like, I don't know. He's showing me the shit where it's like Kirk was shot from the back of the head, and the guy that's making the case that he was shot from the back of the head was like, why did his head lurch forward if he was shot from the front? Because he was shot in the fucking neck, dude. Of course, like if you shot in the neck, it makes sense that your head would go, ugh.
When I watch it, I've watched it way too many times in full speed from different angles available. There's probably like 4 different angles available. there's not one single time from the very first time I saw it to the last time I saw it, when you watch it in full speed, that it just doesn't seem obvious the guy just got shot in the neck right here. And you have to go in slow motion to start telling yourself it's something else, you know? And
there was the muzzle flash. You know how many fucking cameras are on this guy? Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, and this guy showed in this video here, I'll put it in the comments, but this video here showed how there was a million different things you could have called muzzle flashes right at the exact same moment, from people taking camera shots and all that sort of thing. This is a really good video. Risto sent it that tears down that range day bro video. But you can just see from this angle, like, look at where in the top of his head it would have to hit to come out of the place of his neck that we know it bleeds out. It would have to be so high, you know what I mean? Or down where it'd be obvious, or the person would have to be standing behind.
It would have to be high enough that the person would be over the canopy and wouldn't be able to see his head and just fire a lucky shot.
And there'd be a hole through the tent or some sort of thing like that. And then on top of that, you know, if they work
Charles, hello, roommate and lover. It is I, Tyler James Robinson. I was the one who killed Charlie Kirk. Please don't tell the FBI, which is much better under Kash Patel.
So did anybody see out there that the movie Snake Eyes? The movie Snake Eyes from 1998 or whatever. Did you guys watch that?
No.
The movie Snake Eyes from 1998 has a politician in it named Charles Kirkland who dies getting shot in the neck.
Oh yeah.
So government.
You message that.
Government.
Yeah, that automatically means it was the government.
I mean, pretty sure. I'm just asking questions. It could have been more Mountain Meadow Mormon Massacre.
God!
I'm just asking questions. I'm just putting it out there.
I haven't listened to what the hell's her name, Kara
Nuance Ho.
Yeah, I haven't listened to her for a long time. I get sounds like she's gotten stupider.
No, I was thinking the same thing because she's dumb, but fucking hell.
I mean, she was never exactly a rocket scientist, but.
Okay, here it is in Snake Eyes. The whole thing of the Snake Eyes show. This is the politician Charles Kirkland, and right when like the bell rings, he gets shot in the neck right there. Government. Charles Kirkland. That's how that happened. Everything is what's that term they call for it? Like the stuff where they were phoning in 9/11, telegraphing some sort of the thing that was going to happen. But Troy said, I thought there was a conspiracy he was shot from below, perhaps by the New York City jet tunnel Jews. Yeah, Candace did bring up that they noticed some sort of trap door after they cleaned up the thing, and so he must have come up from the thing. But that would also go against their ballistics talking points, because they say that neck thing must be an entry wound, because exit wound, because entry wounds don't bleed that much. Not even if they're just right on your jugular. I mean, I would think even an entry wound would bleed really fast if it's right on your jugular. But I don't know. But how would they keep their narrative going together that he's shot in the top right back of the head and from the tunnel below? So a bunch of different people online also started like hunching that Erica Kirk was in on it, and she was always trying to become president herself.
Yeah.
Oh man.
True. I
people are so wild, man.
Yeah, they'll go to some great lengths to say some really dumb shit.
I can't believe it. I can't believe they're holding on to all different stuff. But the area where I give room to them is still me giving them time to not just talk about like what we talked about last week. We had to get around to the whole thing of saying like, hey, we got a problem with leftist kids getting whipped up on Reddit thinking that it's okay to shoot people. Like everything is to, even all the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, everything is to avoid that conversation that is all the country should be talking about right now. Because even if he did, that is or is not what happened. And so I think it is what happened. I would still put, I told Colby I'd put a $500 bet on it. I'll still put a $500 bet on it. But of course, this will be 50 years of JFK footage before we can get the truth behind it. But if that's the situation, what it is, everything's been a distraction from talking about that growing problem. Since then, there's been what? That other kid went and shot up the ice place, and a guy went and shot up the ABC room when he left a manifesto too of why he was shooting up the ABC room, because he was saving us for the free speech.
That actually proves that he was MAGA.
Yeah.
The writings that he left that said that he wasn't MAGA, they prove that he is MAGA.
This is all the way last week, but this is Jim Bennett saying that, and just like I said, he will behaving responsibly. Another threat is my mistake. Jacob, the evidence is coming and suggests he is a groiper. Far right, not far left. Certainly not woke. Please turn it down.
He's sucking girl dick, Jim.
Oh my God, the groiper thing was stupid.
We knew it like right away.
Yeah, the groiper thing was terrible evidence. There was no evidence for that whatsoever.
He poses Pepe the Frog. No, he poses a squatting Slav, which that meme happened. And he dressed up as the squatting Slav before Pepe became a right-wing sort of memento.
Before groipers even existed.
Yeah, so fuck off.
But I could pull up.
And even if he was a groiper back then, like even if he was anti-Semitic far right back then, how does that possibly mean that he is right now? Do you not understand how quickly young men can be radicalized into some shit? Like, have you ever met a single fucking ex-Mormon in your entire life? Because 80% of them, I'd say, like, radically change their politics within a year.
4 months.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
People were talking about that army dude who lit himself on fire for Palestine. That dude who lit himself on fire for Palestine, his family said he was everything you'd think of a conservative young man entering the army like a year earlier, and then in that amount of time, he's lighting himself on fire for Palestine.
Well, I mean, I even heard there was a guy that shot up the wedding.
I don't even know who did that one. The one this week?
The children. Yeah, he said the children are safe, and they screamed "Free Palestine" as he started shooting people. And they're like, "Oh, there's a bunch of people scrambling to say that he's a groiper." And I was like, "Look, there's a lot of groipers that really, well, all of the groipers really hate Israel, but Free Palestine is not a shibboleth of an alt-right guy. That's a lefty thing." The alt-right guys, it's not that they like Palestine, it's that they hate Israel. That's about it.
Is this Jim Bennett the same guy that fights with Jacob Hansen regularly?
That's Jim Bennett, and that's him fighting with him on TikTok right there.
That it is that Jacob. Okay.
Yeah, he's talking to Jacob right there. Speaking of which, I got contacted by Deseret News about being on Jacob's podcast because they wanted to ask me some questions. Just asking questions. I'm going to tell him, have you heard this thing about a second shooter from a trap door and it's probably Israel? That's what I'm going to tell him. But I might be talking to Deseret News tomorrow about, let's see here.
I love listening to Candace Owens because she'll say something like that. Like, this says that there might be a trap door under the thing. I'm not saying that somebody popped up out of the trap door and capped Charlie Kirk. I'm just asking questions here, and then she goes on to speculate that somebody popped out of the trap door and capped Charlie Kirk.
I hope this thing doesn't. So look at this: 126 million views 9 years ago, right? No, I don't know if I can play this because it's an actual music video, and if I'll get like dinged for like music videos. This is where the squatting Slav meme comes from.
Tripolowski.
Yeah. Those are the squatting Slavs. This does not mean groiper. Groipers who formed in 2019. There he is. That's what he was doing in the meme. So that's your squatting Slav. And then check this out. This is 8 years ago. 8 years ago. So 2 years at least before Groypers existed. Here is Pepe in the squatting Slav meme. That's the entire evidence that in 2017, before the Groypers existed, he has a picture on Twitter of him.
Well, and oh my god, I guess this is beating a dead horse, but I'm like, these are all ex-Mormons doing this, and I'm like,
Yes.
how radically have your views changed in a very short period of time? I bet every single one of them that's trying to say that this kid was a Groyper, I'll bet almost every single one of them was like a Charlie Kirk conservative at 17 years old, and then like a Destiny leftist at least.
Yeah, he probably was a conservative. Yeah,
by
he
the,
probably was.
By the time they're 20, like this is. How do you not like? I don't know. If you've never had any experience with this, maybe I can understand you being this fucking brain melted. But this is your story. This is a story that you've lived. You've lived becoming a classic conservative Ben Shapiro type guy to leaving your religion and becoming like a full-on Hassan leftist. How do you not think this is a common occurrence? And how many months did it take you to do that, by the way? After you left the church, how many months did it take you to be like, man, everything I believed as a kid is totally wrong. Religion and politics and ideology, all of it.
Yeah. So everything on this is like, what is a Groyper? All this stuff is a sort of Groyper. But at the same time, too, this squatting Slav meme was never right-wing coded. It was Reddit coded. Everything about this guy was Reddit coded. And most of what we say ex-Mormon shit liberty might as well be just Reddit anyway. It's Reddit coded. It's all just Reddit. And like I put that post from that guy. He's a pretty funny guy. I was also going to talk about, I don't know if we go into a GI robot and all that sorts of stuff that all these leftists are putting on GI robot pictures of themselves, which GI robot is from Commando Crusaders, this robot who doesn't realize it's not still Nazi era stuff. And everywhere it looks, it sees Nazis. So it tries to kill all the Nazis. And they've all taken that meme and turned it into their own pictures and stuff of saying, oh, this guy is the greatest, this is the best. But he's literally a Don Quixote character. He's supposed to be something that does not realize that everything he looks at isn't a Nazi, and let's see here. Charles gave a point. I guess a good counterpoint to what a grand conspiracy could be. It's all Palantir. They stand to profit massively off of all of this. That's a conspiracy I'm sticking to. That's you've at least put up a plausible one. Although I still don't think all those guys would have chosen Charlie Kirk to do that. Like they could have gotten that done with somebody who wasn't so useful to their side. Because Palantir's JD Vance and all that stuff. Charlie Kirk would have been a crucial part to JD Vance's possible next election and stuff. So even the Palantir guys, they wouldn't have chosen Charlie Kirk to off.
The Palantir guys love JD Vance.
And they could have gotten the same reaction from somebody who wasn't so useful to them, but it was just as big of a name. Like just think of anybody. It could have been, like you said, Tucker or something like that, or Charlie Kirk literally swung that election for Trump by swinging youth voters in swing states with TPUSA. And Vance is going to need that if he wants a chance, even with how much of a collapse the Democratic Party is in. And I don't know if they'll be able to keep that excitement up for 3 years to
I really think a young coddled mind that fell in love with a furry tranny doing it just makes more sense than anything else.
Yes, I think even with you could make some arguments like from those NGOs and those levels of people who like a Soros type person, like what Soros does with his money, with his Open Societies Foundation, is he doesn't know the Floyd moment's going to happen. This is the argument if you go and watch V for Vendetta, which is totally right. Like the V for Vendetta knows the Floyd moment's gonna happen. They just don't know it's the Floyd moment. Does that make sense? So like they just kind of create and set the conditions of making it impossible for policing to work, making it so DAs let more people out on the street. And he knows he's creating those conditions and that type of stuff. So you could look and see through the NGOs and the different people, because if you look up those armed queers, that's what they call themselves. I feel so dumb saying that name every time because it sounds like I'm just slurring at them.
I know. Anytime you say queer, the armed queers. They've been talking about the armed queers. The fucking queers have fucking guns now and shit. They call themselves the armed queers. Don't throw that slur at them. No, that's the name. They're the armed fags. That's what we call them.
But if you look up what has been done in other color revolutions and stuff like that, or the V for Vendetta thing, you could see a thing where I saw somebody making a very good point about this on TikTok of saying, like, you guys were not in early 1930s Germany, we're in 1920s Russia. And what happened in 1920s Russia? What was the prelude to the Gulag Archipelago? And the prelude to the Gulag Archipelago was they did what's called mid-level violence, but the concept from it was that the Lumpenariat, Mao did this stuff too, is you release all the criminals onto the street and you do a little two-tier system where this is how everybody got into the gulags in the Gulag Archipelago, if you read the first part of that, and they become hyper bureaucratic specific about doing the booking and throwing away and calling people dissident who were the normal, good, middle-class people, the kulaks or whatever.
Gulags, yeah.
And they let
commies fucking hate farmers.
They released the Lumpenariat. That's what the Marx called them, and Mao called them. He had a different name for them too. I could look it up. They released the nutbags onto the street, like the Joker people onto the street, and it causes just an upheaval and just a moment for the revolution to happen, type stuff. So what I'm saying is, like, these types of groups could have funding behind it. And I'm not saying it's the Palantir funding. It could be anybody who's got the funding behind those groups, and they don't know that this moment or who's going to get shot. They're just creating the kindling for it all. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That could be. I'm not even saying it's that. I'm saying, like, that could be. And sure, maybe the Palantir guys were ones who wanted to do that, and they got Charlie, and like, oh shit, I didn't mean them to get Charlie. But
yeah, well,
but they knew that these nutters were getting nutty.
I would say that sort of the elite billionaire dudes, it would surprise me if when they found out that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, their first thought wasn't, awesome, I can totally use this to my advantage. I don't think they're good, like, nice people or anything. I was thinking, though, when we were talking about that, if you could enter an alternate reality, like where one tiny thing was changed that was like insignificant, it wouldn't change any of this, but one tiny thing would change, what would it be?
One tiny thing I changed?
So the reason I'm asking is because mine is, I wish instead of trying to reclaim the word queer, they tried to reclaim the word fag, because that would be funnier. It would be talking about fag theory. And would be the LGBTF community, I think that'd be fucking hilarious. It's inconsequential. It doesn't matter what word they use. I guess it kind of does. Queer. They reclaim queer because it means weird. They're doing it to normalize things. I understand that, but for the most part, it's inconsequential. And I think it'd be funny as hell if, like, Logan Lansing wrote a book called The Fagging of the American Child.
I'm trying to find this. Hold on. Hold on. I don't think this is the right one. But the guy who like talked about how we know who these dudes are. These are Reddit dudes. These are Tumblr dudes. This is not 4chan dudes. Especially if you're like a younger person running around like these whole entire communities. It's this guy. It's this Neo Kun guy, but I don't think this is the video. But let's see.
Hey, fascist, Cash, Bella Chow. We know who these people are.
Yeah, this is it.
We know who these communities are. I can imagine their profile pictures in my mind. They're not on Telegram. They're not on hidden IRC channels. They're on companies with IPOs. They're doing this on communities with a stock price. I know what this person thinks about the aesthetics of the Cybertruck. I know every single thing about this. Angela Nagel wrote a book about these people 10 years ago, a book called Kill All Normies, where she addresses these people on Tumblr who believe that speech was violence. They were morally justified in being violent towards you for your speech. She was writing about these people 10 years ago. These people didn't go away when Tumblr fell off. They moved to other platforms. They moved to Reddit. They moved here. They're among us. The way we treat incel communities, the way we treat incel forums, that's what we actually should be doing to r/Deltarune.
So this is the term that gets used for the thing that I'm talking about. That could be used, and I'm not saying it's Palantir because there's other people talking about the WF could be using the same strategy. But this whole deal is the concept of whipping up the fringes. And these actors, they acted on their own, but they might have had funding and stuff behind them. And you could even just like look at the environment that was trying to whip them up into thinking that they had fascists to fight or something like that. There could be some sort of nefarious people behind that, but it could also be distant. Like they didn't know exactly what the people were going to do. They just said, we want to create these situations. Well, basically the stochastic terrorism that we're arguing for, that Democrats and leftists generally did over the internet forever, of talking about how Trump is literally Hitler and all that stuff, creating the assassin environment or the assassin culture that Charlie talked about. Bio-Leninism, also known as biological Leninism, is a neo-reactionary theory popularized by blogger Spandrel, pseudonym to explain modern Western leftism as a form of Leninist strategy adapted to liberal democracies. It posits that elites mobilize a coalition of the fringes, groups that inherent or perceived biological, social, or identitarian disadvantages, ethnic minorities, LGBT individuals, the overweight, disabled, or migrants, by elevating them to positions of bureaucratic or institutional power. This creates unwavering loyalty, as these group status gains are tied to regime success and would evaporate under a meritocratic system, mirroring how Lenin empowered the lumpen proletariat for revolutionary control. The concept critiques progressive identity politics as a tool. But yeah, there was also a thing before the Gulag Archipelago where they released like 20,000 people from prisons right before they started getting extra hyper careful on, reviewing what's his name, the writer himself, like just checking to see, like, we're gonna check your bag every single day to make sure that you're not a wrong thinker and all that sorts of stuff. It's one of the methodologies for pre-revolutionary crap.
Charles brings up a good point. He says MK Ultra 2.0. Instead of LSD, it's Reddit and Facebook. Keep in mind, I'm stoned as fuck right now.
Extreme, but it is like there is some truth to that radicalized normie. But the problem is that the left still has to realize that that's still a lefty shit lib. The normie, like Troy said, look at where the Overton window moved. That's normie shit lib, and they're getting radicalized, which is crazy.
You gotta feel for the reasonable lefties, right? Like your Anna Kasparians and shit. I don't generally feel for her because I'm really terrible at your whole gaslight off ramp thing.
No,
where she had this turnaround on crime specifically because she was like molested by a homeless dude. I'm like, okay, how is that what it took? But whatever, fine. But I feel for like her and pretty much all of the Young Turks when they're imagine being a lefty right now, a reasonable one that's like, you shouldn't murder your opponents, and trying to be like, guys, we look so fucking bad right now. Like, even just from an optics standpoint, the midterms are coming up and you're making us look terrible. Please stop so we can get some people into the Senate and Congress races. For the love of God, stop.
Yeah. Also my just noticing that there's a fine line between an off ramp or just letting people gaslight you is also not a recommendation. Like, I don't know where that line is. You know what I mean? I just noticed they're almost the same concept, right? I mean, it is the same concept, right? Giving them an off ramp and a gaslight, or but there's some sort of things where, well, if you'll at least get off this, I'll let you. I mean, I guess I sort of let Jimmy Kimmel do that a little bit to me, because I wasn't that upset at his apology, only in the sense that I thought he was going to come out a petulant little dick, like just 100% petulant.
Dude,
and the simple fact that he showed some sort of remorse and said it's not okay to kill is almost like more than I could ever expect.
But that was his stance to begin with. Like, his monologue that got him shut down, he said that it's not good to kill people. It's not that he made fun of Charlie Kirk or anything. It's that he just flat out lied.
Right.
And he's trying to pretend that he didn't lie. He's like, if I led anybody to believe that I characterized him as a specific ideology. What do you mean did you explicitly said it, you fucking hack, jackass? But then the other thing he did was he started suddenly becoming a champion of free speech. The dude that said that if you're unvaxxed, you should just die. But and just COVID unvaxxed, not like entirely unvaxxed. He's a piece of shit hack. And he started talking about how other people have suffered limits to their free speech, like Stephen Colbert. No, Stephen Colbert's ratings were not as bad as yours, but almost as bad. He was losing his studio $40 million a year, and his contract was up in May anyway. So, like, we're just not going to renew it. That was it. That's what happened to Stephen Colbert. The government didn't try to censor him.
Yeah.
I wish the government didn't try to censor you too. Like fuck the FCC and their idiot guy who comes out there like, well, no, that's an easy way and a hard way.
It's still so outrageous how outweighted that was the other direction for 10, 15 years. I mean, on the very day that he was coming back, Google and YouTube released the thing admitting that they had been censoring people for politics and were pressured by the Biden administration to do that for 5 years. And we already had the Twitter files where they did that. They'd already kicked Trump, a sitting president, they kicked off of all the different social media, and each one of those idiots cheered about it. And on top of all that, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that they were pressured by the Biden administration to change all that stuff and do those things. The FCC, out of all of them, is the only one that the government actually is supposed to regulate. And they do regulate all the time. Like, I mean, Anthony Cumia was talking about how he constantly got FCC notes. So they were already looking to him every day. Every day you had something from the FCC saying, hey, what was this? Hey, what was this? He'd get daily notes from the FCC on stuff. But, he's just the biggest martyr for free speech in history, a week after Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck for speech. And I just got to say, I was giving some plausibility, like Charles's thing about Palantir. The thing about the guys from Palantir, like Thiel and JD Vance, is I don't think they're George Soros. I don't think those are the types of guys who feel they have to make the situation for them. The Palantir stuff I think is worrisome because it does have such Big Brother stuff to it. But Peter Thiel is far more like, did you ever see The Big Short? Peter Thiel is the guy who's far more putting his fingers to the wind of what's going to happen. So he would have bet that something like this might have happened in society, but he didn't have to make it happen. That would be my guess of how those guys go. They could sense and tell in the wind and the way stuff was pushing that some sort of moment would happen. They didn't have to make it happen.
Yeah, it's shitty versus ultra shitty.
Yeah, but I'm giving some just plausibility that that could be a thing. But I'm standing by this case on its face. Until I hear further stuff, I will entertain plausibilities, but I'm taking this case on its face. It is exactly what Starbase is saying right there. These are kids who got whipped up by internet words, radicalized normies.
And Starbase also made a good point. He said text messages to be odd need to compare to his baseline speech, not just what people think a 22-year-old should sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
it
Whatever the
still
text
sounds like
messages are, I don't think changes at all. That it's either him or some of him and his friends who are
Yeah.
just whipped up by words, normie shit libs, coomers, furry coomers.
Oh, he's definitely a coomer. If you're sucking girl dick, you got to be a coomer.
Yeah. There's Roseanne. Yeah, imagine administration putting pressure on a television channel to fire comedian. And this is one of the things people say, well, the company just fired her. They didn't. Roseanne Barr said, they told me that they had been given pressure directly from Obama and from. Have you ever looked up the lady that she said looked like
Yeah, she looked exactly like her. It wasn't a race thing. Like she it
Yeah,
was dead on, like down to the clothing.
Yeah, she supposedly is a racist for. She said she looks like she's from the Planet of the Apes, and racist! How dare you say that a black woman's an ape?
No, she's got the same hairstyle and she's
woman.
wearing the same clothing.
And she does not look at all black.
I can't tell if she's black.
She's not black. She's
if you ask me what race she's
like Armenian, but she was black when as soon as Roseanne called her, she said Planet of the Apes, and then when it got over, Roseanne even just said on the same day, like, I'm sorry, but I thought the bitch was Jewish. That's what she said. And,
he thought the bitch was Jewish.
Yeah, that's what she in her way. I thought the bitch was Jewish.
Oh fuck, that's awesome.
One of the things that's funny about that whole thing too is that Roseanne's show was #1 at that moment and was making money, whereas Jimmy Kimmel's and Colbert's show, as you said, they're just hemorrhaging money, and it's so weird that we've lived in this time where these companies care about ideology more than their bottom line so badly. It's so weird because, and Dave Smith had the line. Dave Smith, the hyper libertarian. Dave Smith. It was a really good episode. You listen to the entirety thing. He did not at all side with Jimmy Kimmel on the thing. And he said his reasoning is once he went around pushing all that sort of stuff for the regime, he became part of the regime. If you're a propagandist for the regime, you might as well just be a government actor yourself. And the government can get restricted. That's his point of view. And I don't think it's a bad one.
Well, I keep telling people that the FCC is totally within their rights to do shit like this. I don't want them to be, but they are. Like they're not doing anything illegal.
Well, and they actually never even looked into that. But like you said, it did snatch unearned error because it all could have probably just happened without that FCC guy. Although who knows?
It would have happened without the FCC guy.
You think?
I'm pretty sure it would have, because like Aaron McIntyre was, and several other guys, they were like
did the ground up thing, and they galvanized the affiliates,
galvanizing their base to talk to the affiliates and say, pull him off the air, and you can tell that by like how I think they use the FCC thing as sort of an excuse to be like, oh, thank God, now we can pull him.
Yeah, I'm sure they wanted to. They were looking for a morality clause or something like that. This was last week, but I just barely got to it now. Forrest got booted from. We mentioned it, but Forrest got booted from Mormon Stories Facebook.
What for?
He was saying that you guys should stop cheering for the Charlie Kirk thing.
Well, he posted a video. Genetically modified skeptic, right? Is a YouTuber, just a shit normie atheist guy with the dumbest, blandest atheist takes imaginable. And he posted some video a while back about like right-wing Christian nationalists, and he included Charlie Kirk in there. And then as soon as Charlie Kirk died, he reposted that video. It was like, yeah, see, check out my video on this guy. And it was shitting on Charlie Kirk, and Forrest just said, I'd encourage anyone who subscribes to this guy to unsubscribe, because this is fucked up that he did this thing.
Reprehensible. Yeah.
And so, yeah, Forrest got banned from the group.
Yep, he joined a long line. Poor pour one out for Forrest.
Thank God, yeah.
Less
Thank
people
God,
working on Mormon stories.
John DeLynne's super neutral. He's trying to reach out to Trump supporter ex-Mormons
Yeah.
now. I actually did email him after he again. The first time I emailed him, no response, and then this most recent time I emailed him again. Nope, no response.
No response.
Of course, no response.
Unreal, man. I didn't even try this time. Like, why even bother? But
I did it. I did it because I knew he wouldn't respond, and I wanted to say that. Yeah, he didn't respond.
Yeah. Well, I had a partial thing of like, what if I was super crazy busy, and I was like, and this will be my Charlie Brown luck that this time he says, okay, come on over and do it, and I didn't have the time to do it. But yeah, that stuff, it's so outrageous and so goofy, and the way that's another thing of how they turn all of their places into echo chambers that ultimately end up getting violent because people in there were violently cheering. I mean, that speech isn't violent and all that sort of stuff, but it shows some bloodlust that some people were happy and cheering and dancing about that stuff.
Well, last week Streeter brought up something, and Natasha put something crazy. Was that on Mormon Stories where she talked about the microphone being violent? And
that was her personal Facebook page.
That was her personal one. I thought she put that on Mormon Stories.
She might have done that too, but like I'm friends with her on Facebook, and so I saw that pop up. And what was it? She used the term emotional violence.
Yeah. But all of that stuff comes from the Academy. That all originates in Foucault, which, of course, like it's one of my general issues or problems. Like we try to like bring and talk this stuff up to maybe RFM. I brought it up again this week. I have this stuff here of a bill. I'm not gonna have time to get to all this week, but on Mormonism after dark last Friday, Jackson Washburn called in, and Bill and RFM just piled in on him. I think he was calling in to try to do like a solidarity thing of Mormons trying to reach out and being joining hands in solidarity with ex-Mormons. He was trying to do that, and Bill and RFM, I think Bill's a bit drunk, which gives him a bit of a pass, but he just piled in on just basically attacking Jackson, saying like, well, can you justify that Joseph Smith slept with underage women? Can you justify? And there's just a whole big thing of that, and they ended up posting like a whole separate thing about it. And Jackson commented on this, just saying like, well, thanks for a chance, but I don't think you were like arguing in faith. And so then I brought up to them again in the comment section of saying like, Bill, I 100% could justify anything through queer theory. This ideology stems off of Foucault, Humanities Academia, most cited scholar, and a pedo himself, who is where we get all these academic conflations of speech with violence that directly lead to the murder of Charlie Kirk. Both the denouncing of queer theory and the concept of speech being violence can be connected to this current cultural moment that Jackson was ostensibly calling in to build bridges around. But that's just the point, is like we keep bringing up like we try to bring up problems with epistemology or problems with like these RFM, like, oh, you guys just go to the Academy where everything is super hardcore rigorous meritocracy. No, it isn't. And most of it's this stuff, and this stuff tumbles out into the cathedral because every single media person has come through this. It tumbles out into Hollywood. It all broke loose and has been broken. This has been the argument of this channel since forever. But it drives us kind of nuts when we have, maybe RFM and Bill and Kobe who we're going to just like attack propositional truth, but they do not know what time it is in the communities that they're around, of like how those guys are getting whipped up into extremist views, even if they're complete normies.
Okay, can you handle a little bit of pushback?
Yeah.
Okay. The pushback here, you called Michel Foucault a pedo, and I got to push back a little bit because as an avowed racist, Michel Foucault did not rape kids. He just raped Tunisians.
Jeez.
No, I'm very racist. I've been told that I'm racist. So I gotta own it.
You got it. I love Steve's comment. It cracked me up a while ago, and I just had to read it. Why are you showing all these Planet of the Apes people? Oh gosh, I shouldn't have read that right then when I had Kamala on the screen. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Real dumpster accounts should be suspended, and that was in 2000. 20 when she was saying that. They were just all of the most. Here it is. Call me crazy, but I thought the major violation of free speech last week was when the free speech guy got shot in the neck for promoting free speech. Evidently, it was the vaccine salesman with terrible ratings getting fired. So there's more in his death. I'll get Cernovich. If we're not careful, all of our conservative and right-wing friends are going to lose their late night shows, their network news anchor positions, professorships, and roles as Hollywood directors. Their films might not get reviewed by the New York Times. Peril indeed.
Imagine.
That cuts off right there. Sort of first time.
I wish I had saved it. Roseanne Barr actually had a really good tweet just outlining all of the more conservative leaning famous people who have been fired and shit.
There's
over the
so
last
many
decade.
of them. It was so lopsided. It's so lopsided in the fact that they're acting like victims now, and now.
Well, I could have given you.
Now we're in 19 something Germany.
I could have granted them that, like, I could have a while back, a few years ago. I could have granted them that. Yeah, it's a little bit different because the FCC, which is a government organization, explicitly said that they were going to go after this guy, and that's fucked up. Whereas Roseanne Barr was just fired by her company, Gina Carano, all these people who were just fired by their company, and I don't think they should have done that, but at least it wasn't the government pressuring them. But it was. They just weren't as bombastic as Trump, and they did it behind the scenes, like smart conniving fucks.
I've never even looked at this. I've been meaning to like grok it to find out, but like how different is Alex Jones's major thing than Jimmy Kimmel's? You know, Alex Jones wasn't on an FCC regulated channel, but his whole thing was the Sandy Hook stuff. He denied it or something like that. But
he said that they were like false flag actors and stuff like that. And I mean, it was shitty. It was very shitty.
It's totally shitty, but it's the same. It's not that different. It's not that different than
but then
what they're claiming.
Then they file a lawsuit against them, and I'm pretty sure it was the largest civil lawsuit.
It's like $1 billion.
Yeah, it is $1 billion, and that's insane.
Yeah. They cheered when Tucker Carlson got kicked off. Well, every single one of these people cheering for free speech and all that sorts of stuff. They cheered when Tucker Carlson got fired. They cheered when Megyn Kelly got fired. Megyn Kelly said, why is it like this picture here? Why is it bad as a kid to do blackface of an icon of black people who you idolize? That's why she got fired off of NBC.
She didn't even say blackface. She was talking about Halloween costumes.
Yeah,
that a white girl should be allowed to dress up as Pocahontas because she likes the movie. That's not even blackface. You're not painting yourself.
And she got fired.
Like in the Matt Walsh. It's the Matt Walsh Am I Racist documentary where he's talking about how you should respect other people's cultures, and he says, yeah, and my daughter respects other people's cultures so much that she wants to dress up as her favorite Disney princess, Moana, so she should probably do that, right? And then the lady's like, well, no, she shouldn't do that.
It's so stupid, man. It's just, it was the fact that I don't know. I guess they're either all wantingly lying or just completely under a rock so bad that none of this is even worth trying to.
Yeah, they're under a rock.
Well, it's all special pleading. All of anti-racism is just special pleading on behalf of white people. That's it. It's all it is.
But it's the age-old question of like, are you guys being evil or are you stupid? Like, are you truthfully unaware of how lopsided this has been? Or are you being evil?
Some of them are evil. Most of them are stupid. That's what I would guess.
Instagram, Facebook, and even Snapchat. But don't worry, Mr. President, there are still plenty of apps you do have access to. You still have Spotify to drown out the sound of millions of people cheering as you leave. Google, Apple, and Amazon removed the Parler app from their platforms. Parler is where all the right-wingers gather to post QAnon nonsense and misspell the word parlor.
They took away even their own space. So they like imagine like when everybody left Twitter to go to Blue Sky, which immediately turned into an overly nutbag violent space. You know,
It just turned into pre-Elon Twitter.
But imagine if like all the stores said we're not even going to let you guys have that or create it or use it on the App Store or anything like that.
Yup.
Trumpers are complaining bitterly that they're being silenced. In fact, they won't shut up about being silenced.
I love having Donald Trump off Twitter, not to mention all the other toxic racists and conspiracy theorists that have been booted off.
Oh, damn. A lifetime Twitter ban has got a sting. They took away his precious. Twitter isn't the only social media site that wants nothing to do with our president. He's also been banned or restricted from a bevy of other platforms, including...
These are the heroes. These were these last week's heroes of the lumpenarians free speech. These 6 rich white dudes.
Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Reddit, and even Twitch. What are you waiting for, Pornhub? It's not a coincidence. It's a consequence. I know it's hard for you to recognize it because you've never faced one before.
Lifetime ban. Trump's basically the Pete Rose of social media. Right now, Trump's phone is stuffed into a pile of rice after being drenched with tears. In addition to Twitter, Trump has been banned or restricted from Apple, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Google, Amazon, Pinterest, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, Twitch, Stripe, Discord, and Shopify. Trump started this year thinking he should be on Mount Rushmore. Now he can't even get on Instagram.
How have our lives changed since Trump has been banned from Twitter? Well, I thought we'd take a quick look outside and see, has the world changed since our president has been banned from Twitter? Let's just look outside and see what's going on. I like it.
Elon Musk is in the middle of purchasing Twitter. Well, today, Musk said that one of the first things he would do after the acquisition goes through is lift the permanent Twitter ban on Donald Trump. I tell you what, banning Trump was like one of the few almost good things Twitter's done in like a decade. Is that Donald Trump is a scam account. It's all a scam.
There you go, free speech champions. Jesus Christ.
It's been such a joke.
You can always tell who's losing the culture war by who's pretending to give a fuck about free speech.
True. I like this meme. Be careful out there, everyone. I had 2 copies of Kamala's new book in my car, and someone broke in and left 4 more. People were joking around this week and said, because she said that she wanted Pete Buttigieg as her running mate, but she couldn't choose a gay person, so she only chose a half gay person. But somebody said Kamala Harris is the only person I know who turned somebody down for a job because they were gay.
Well, it's I don't know what she's talking about because Tim Walz is way gayer than Pete Buttigieg. But also, like, I almost felt bad for her because she's so dumb that she didn't realize how tone deaf that sounds. Because as soon as she said it, like, she's trying to explain to Rachel Maddow, like, wait, what are you talking about? This is our thing. We say that we lose because of bigotry. So of course I couldn't choose him. A black Indian woman and a gay man on the same ticket? I thought we were bigoted and we wanted to win. Like, America is bigoted, white supremacy, homophobic, all that stuff. And we wanted to win. So of course I couldn't choose the gay guy. She's using their own ideology to discriminate against a gay dude. Yeah. And she's totally justified within the ideology, and they're trying to act like she's homophobic for it.
Well, that was a weird interview because she said, no, I didn't say that. And then she goes in a roundabout way of saying, yes, she did say that.
I know, she did. One of the funny things she said was it was the closest presidential race in the 21st century.
Yeah, that's absurd.
I don't know what you're talking about because it's like electorally and population-wise, like if it's electorally, he won in a landslide. He won all of the fucking swing states. Every one of them voted for him. And fucking like, are we not including the Bush versus Gore race that was decided by like 500 votes in Florida?
and only 4, I think it was 4 or 5 electoral votes.
Yeah, and not to mention, like, Trump's race versus Hillary was way closer than this one in every way. What the fuck is she talking about?
I was looking at the electoral votes, and yeah, the only ones that were wider was the 2 Obamas. Those were bigger wins than 2024, but the others were a little less of an electoral spread.
Yeah, I want to ask her what metric she's using.
Jared, you got to read Charles's comment there.
Charles, oh, hang on. I'm not on the right screen. Let me.
I can't say that one. I'll get told.
Wait. I don't see it. I'll check the StreamYard thing because I don't see it on YouTube.
That's probably because I had an on YouTube word on it.
She snubbed a gay guy for a fag. Yeah, it didn't show up on YouTube, Charles.
This is real. Leftist gun group uses the note written on the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk to recruit students at Georgetown University.
Oh yeah, what was it? The Johnson Gun Group or some shit like that?
John Brown. John Brown.
Okay.
That guy who maybe started the Civil War doing an attack. Razor Fist had this hilarious thing on Nick Fuentes. The whole comment's not even that thing, but he started calling him Burrito Mussolini.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Burrito Mussolini is a good one. This is just like a meme sheet of like all the stuff of like giving longer explanations of Charlie Kirk. But really the truth of it is like any one of Charlie Kirk's arguments, if you really wanted to hear the whole thing that he was probably trying to regurgitate and didn't have time to do it, neither do I have time to do it. Read Thomas Sowell, read Christopher Caldwell, and there's arguments about different things not being what you thought they were when it comes around to Lyndon B. Johnson and the New Deal, and there's excesses and deficiencies about the Civil Rights Act that should and could be corrected, and there always were problems with it. It wasn't some sacrosanct little perfect piece of legislation that solved the world, and he was just making more nuanced arguments about that. But you can read the hyper nuanced arguments about that, basically everything by Thomas Sowell. But Christopher Caldwell's book, Age of Entitlement. And that's all the clippies I had, besides some commie memes, which were just joking about a photographer took a picture of people before and after. They told them the commune already had a poet.
Yeah, I had this
With
argument.
a hard hat on him. What's
I had
that?
this argument with the lesbian at work. I mentioned something about the national debt, and she's like, "Well, I've said forever that money isn't real, so like we could just say nope, there's no more debt." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And
what?
She's explaining to me that like money is a social construct, and I was like, "Yeah, it
Noah
is."
Harari stuff.
And social constructs are real.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like saying it's a social construct doesn't mean anything. And then she started talking about communism and how real communism hasn't been tried, and how like, oh yeah, there's just something wrong with human nature that we can't do communism. And I was like, look, if your ideology does not take human nature into account, it's a shit ideology. Like, why even bring it to the fucking table?
That sentence is simple and it seems simple, but it's actually kind of one of the best sentences you've ever said.
Well, yeah, it's like if everything were totally completely different, this would work. Like if I want to rob a bank,
if humans weren't involved in this thing,
it's like if I want to rob a bank with a bunch of friends, and this guy comes up with a plan, and his plan hinges on one of us being able to like immaterialize and fuse through walls. And he's like, "Yeah, and I'd be like, "That's a shit plan." And he'd be like, "Yeah, but like it'd be a really good plan if we could actually have superpowers and fuse through walls." Yeah, it would. If we could do that, but we fucking can't, you dumb piece of shit. And arguing with her was insane because she's talking about communism. Well, everybody would just do what their strength is. And we've all heard the arguments for this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, so you can build houses and I'm really good at the harp. All right. And so those are our skills. And I say, I really want a house, and a house is a human right, so you have to provide it for me. And if you do that, I'll play the harp at your birthday for the next 5 years. You really gonna take that? Like, are you really gonna be like, yeah, that's that's a fair fucking trade? And that's what I think of when I think of that meme, because it's always like, what are you gonna do when the communist utopia gets here? And it's like, I'm going to do basket weaving and I'm going to teach classes on it. And then the rest of my time, I'm going to have my zucchini garden and stuff like that. you're retarded if you think that human nature will allow for a non-hierarchical fucking system. That's painfully retarded.
Yeah. Anyway, I've gone through most of that, and we've gone a little bit over, and I've got a dog who's going to start going nuts, and I can't believe that he's already gone nuts. I was just reading some more about the lumpen proletariat, if you want to read more about how Marx and Lenin and Stalin figured out how to use the wretched of the earth, and Frantz Fanon talked about that as well. But there's always fringe people that you can whip up into stuff, and maybe Machiavellians use them for that. But at the same time, too, they can also just pop off themselves. So once again, I will repeat, going back through all of this, the travesty and the true moment of free speech being shat on of my lifetime is Charlie Kirk so far. I can't think of another one. I guess I didn't sit and think of it for a long time, but I don't even feel brazen saying that right now. I cannot believe that happened. And if it keeps happening, we've got major problems. And as of right now, my official stance is, sorry, I'm going to be the radical normie. I'm going with the normie story. I think it's just these guys got whipped up in nuts from Reddit and Tumblr, and
yeah, Candace,
one or more of them got it done.
Sometimes things are what they look like.
Yeah. But since we're not married to stuff, like you guys are going to be married to it, must be some sort of clandestine thing. If I saw evidence, like clear evidence of the opposite, it's not hard to change. If you see.
Well, I mean, I was ready to hear out the case that fat retard who shot up the ICE facility was a right-wing dude because he only killed 2 detainees. And he left that stupid anti-ICE, like, oh, you uncreative fag. Jesus Christ, like, try a little bit. My God. But I think it was you, Chris, that brought it up, especially on the Tyler Robinson messages. Like, I don't think any Fed would be dumb enough to think that sounded convincing, like, and that's what I think about the anti-ICE bullet. Like, they wouldn't just write that; they'd write something like,
if it was Feds, they would have written it better.
Yeah, if it was Kash Patel, you could say he's sold out, but he's not stupid.
Yeah.
He's not going to write like, my motivations are that I hate Donald Trump and white people.
Yeah, Feds would have been more tactical about it. And beyond that too is like, I imagine like the plan of the Feds, like Feds get around and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have some weird Coomer kid. For some reason, he's going to be up over there. Just lucky for us, he's up over there. So there'll be like footage of the weird Coomer kid. And he's going to have his own dad's gun and all that stuff, but he'll leave it behind or some sort of deal. But we're going to shoot him in the back of the head really close, but everybody's going to think that's coming from 200 yards away. Like, that'll work out perfectly for us. It'll look good. It'll look just right. that it will look to everybody like it comes from the thing 200 yards away, our plan to shoot him in the back of the head up close. We can count on that. We can count on that working.
I hate that I'm about to say this, but like the Charlie Kirk conspiracy shit. Oh, God, I hate myself for saying this. It made me a little bit sympathetic to the Ben Shapiro stance on the JFK assassination.
Totally.
That like, it's just what happened. I still think the JFK stuff has a lot weirder shit than the Charlie Kirk stuff. All the Charlie Kirk stuff is utterly unconvincing to me.
It made me sympathetic to I don't know. I have a lot of patience for flat earthers and stuff like that. Not that I sit there and listen to them, but just I'm like, whatever. Like, knock yourselves out. But this is like one of the first moments I'm like, oh Jesus, shut up. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is terrible. You're terrible. This is like, knock it off. Like,
You're
even
so
if you-
annoying that maybe I don't believe in free speech after all.
Yeah, I would never sort of see that stuff. And even if people find like some little points of it plausible.
Oh,
I mean, I listen to it every time with an open mind to hear something plausible, you know.
Charles brought up a good point, a conspiracy theory I hadn't heard yet. He said maybe this whole time it really was that old guy who claimed he did it.
That's also one of the things that, since Jim Bennett knew that guy and knows who he is, and a bunch of people around and said, like, we've been in Utah, he's been at every single freaking thing making a scene. And then you see like Candace or somebody start to talk about him, like he must be some sort of super clandestine actor in on this thing. And you just kind of go, that especially sounds weird to people who've been around here and know that everybody knows that guy and knows he's an idiot, you know, and yeah, that sort of stuff. And we got into like a bunch of detail. I went and looked at a bunch of videos about bullets. I went and looked at a bunch of videos about, can you put guns down your pants? And then people got the order of stuff of when he took it apart or not. And as of right now, and you want to know what? There's even like a hard right-wing guy who reviewed it all just like I did and said, the hell are you guys talking about? It just sounds like the normal thing. And that's Academic Agent. He did like an hour and a half on it. And he's like, what are these guys? Like, no, like none of this, like the thing that is being presented is still what makes sense and makes the most sense. But
I'm just glad that conspiracy theories are back in vogue now. Like the last like 8 months or so, we've gotten election denialism back on the table. That's totally copacetic now. To deny.
Did you see like YouTube said they apologized and Fuentes and Alex Jones could come back on? Then they rebanned them again within.
Yeah, they banned them right away.
What was that about?
They said that it's a limited trial thing that they're doing, and that anyone trying to circumvent it by creating new, because I guess Alex Jones created a new YouTube channel, and for whatever reason that's not chill, and they're saying it's not happening yet, but we'll keep you updated.
It's so goofy, man. Like I saw Mr. Medicare this week. He had a really good podcast on it if you want to listen to that. And Mr. Medicare decided to become religious because of Charlie Kirk, and he's almost going to die. But the what was I going to say? Computing Forever's back on. You're like, I can't believe this dude was banned off of here for 5 years, you know. And Gavin McInnes technically didn't have a channel for all those years, and he didn't even have a Twitter for all these years, and he just barely got that back. And we're like, it's been 5-6 years for these people, and if we've been hearing them all, it's been snuck to you from other little channels, you know.
Yep,
it's so unreal, but I don't know. I guess just on to more of it in the future.
Yeah, I'm like falling asleep right now. So.
Yeah, I got to go take the puppy. Normie Ryan, thank you for chilling and hanging out and keeping it going when Jared had to pop out and for all you added in.
I had a fucking meltdown going on.
And hopefully you can learn to love He-Man again because he's really awesome.
I do love He-Man. I am dead serious that I think my body dysmorphia came more from He-Man than from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I had my He-Man toys and I'm like, I gotta look like this, man. I gotta look like this. So
sure. I think you're wrong. I think Power Rangers is way gayer than He-Man.
Yeah. And I don't really have full body dysmorphia, but it is where I started being like, yeah, working out is cool. I want to look like He-Man. And it was only years later that I heard Skeletor's voice, and I thought. I also saw the Smurfs around the same time, and I was like, oh my lord, the Smurfs are even gayer sounding.
The Smurfs are a bunch of simps because there's only one woman.
Yeah.
And they all try to simp for her. I'm in a Smurfette writing a Smurfer.
I'm dead serious that I was just surprised that the thing I loved was as annoying as the thing that I saw when I got older that I thought kids watched was annoying. Like I remember going through years of being like, I can't believe these kids like Barney the dinosaur. And then I saw the stuff I liked and I was like, oh, I was the normie. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out.
Fuck off.
Have a good one.
We'll see you.
Yeah.
See you later.